Throw the weapon on the bed. You must be Galaxina. I heard great deals about you.
So we meet at last, Ordric from Mordric.
You are very beautiful for an automaton.
What about you, baby? Take off your mask. Let me see your face.
This is my face.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. I presume you are looking for the blue star. What's that? Who's there? The blue star? What is this shit? Anyways, it's mine. With it, I will control the universe.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Leave it alone.
But I want to touch it. However, you fear me.
What you doing?
A mere earth creation.
Keep away.
I will understand.
Touch it if you will. Ordric does not know fear.
Oh, I must hold it.
Hold it. If you will give you satisfaction. What are you doing? Stop turning around. Let's go for coffee. Please stop it. Oh, my aching gyros.
You're getting dizzy, Ordric. Thank you very much.
Oh, sir.
That is so suggestive.
You
I feel like I need a cigarette.
Oh, hello, and welcome again to Science Fiction Remnant. My name is Robert, and yes, this is the Science Fiction Remnant. You did not turn on another podcast here.
And this is Captain Chaos.
And this is mad scientist Audric. I mean, Ray from there in Australia.
And who the superstars we have here?
And yes, if you recognize the voice, we finally were able to bring back our very dear friend, dear Nikki. Hello, Nikki. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, boys, as usual.
So, if
Thank you for your additions to the quote, by the way. That was spot on.
Oh yes, awesome.
You're very, very welcome anytime.
So if you're not familiar, I believe you were Nikki. You were with us twice before.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So if you go back to our back catalog and you look for the episode Galaxina, and we also did.
No, this is the episode Galaxina. You want Barbarella?
Barbarella, man, Barbarella.
That's okay.
It's
Because Galaxinas and his Barbarellas mixed up.
It's a SpaceX too. It's a
I got my
SpaceX too.
Galaxinas. Yeah, I got my Galaxinas mixed up. You know, and Cherry 3000. So Barbarella, and the other episode that we did was Stargate.
Yes, the unsex one. That has nothing to do sexy. That's okay. I think I actually picked. That's the only one I've got to pick.
Nice.
In other words, what she's inferring is that we're the ones that are bringing the lewd topic into the table.
They call me when they want to do the lewd ones. Yes.
Yeah. Weren't you on for Flash Gordon, Nikki?
No.
No.
Oh, must be somebody else.
Yeah, we
wanted Doug Joe for Flash Gordon, but he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Awesome. So Nikki, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Anytime, you know that.
We miss you here, and we feel that you're almost a part of the episode. For all of you out there who are listening to our show for a long time, you probably recognize the voice because Nikki is also the voice of This Is Sci-Fi, and it's been playing for every episode on season 2. So thank you, Nikki.
You're very welcome.
So
what have you guys been watching?
I go first.
Star Trek. Next.
Yeah, we're Yeah, Voyager. We're almost done, and then we'll move on to the next things. So the next episode we're going to be watching is the one with Sun's the Q Sun. It gets dropped on Janeway, and yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. If you know who Q is, yeah, a teenage Q is no fun. And that's pretty much it for me.
So it's just Star Trek, really. You were right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know. I was speeding things along, but we just had to go back and go over it again.
What have you been watching, Ray?
Oh, well, I got into a bit more Babylon 5 because after doing the episode on it, I decided to do a bit of a rewatch. The first season's a bit hard going because some of the acting's a bit wooden, but the story just goes from strength to strength. So just live for that. Also, Kaiju number 8 because I'm just absolutely hooked on that. It's such a great little story, and it's not purely sci-fi, but there is a lot of sci-fi elements in it. It's an anime called Arafrueta. And I've been doing a rewatch of that because there's a new season coming.
Nice.
What about you, Nikki? Have you been watching any sci-fi lately?
I have been watching Silo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've rewatched it and I want to watch it again because season 2 is about to start, and I love Lisa and Tim Robbins. He's on my list. I'm just gonna have to say that, but it's kind of like the new. I want to see the new Fallout. It's kind of like that. But like I don't know if you've played the game Fallout on your phone, where you're running a central silo and people do this, and this. It's essentially that, except with government conspiracies and things like that. But it's very sci-fi-y, and I'm not going to reveal too much. But I actually went through your catalog to see if you guys had done it, and usually you guys ask me what I want to do, and I'm so going to pitch it, and then which is fine, but we got to do that together.
It's yours. We'll record it.
Yes.
What Nikki didn't know is that that's my plan to bring it back to the show.
Nice.
Why is it I feel like a member of the Brady Bunch right now?
And I guess Gio, you're left.
Well, no, I'm right wing. I've been watching Kaiju number 8. I did a rewatch of The Matrix. I usually watch The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded, and then I just forget about it or watch the Animatrix because it seems that they stopped making movies.
There's supposed to be another Matrix sequel coming.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
I've heard of beating a dead horse, but this is like milking a dead cow.
Yeah.
Like I think that I didn't like Revolution, and I think that Resurrection was like they shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
How many
I
are
wonder
there
what
now?
zombie cow milk would taste like.
Zombie cow milk.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? There's a drink that the Mongols have that is like it's made from milk, but it's like decomposed milk, so it's very how do you call
Fermented?
it? Fermented milk, probably like that.
Is it like the powdered milk you get at the store?
No,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That's I grew up on that.
Have you ever tried to eat powdered milk and breathed in by accident when you had a spoon of it in front of your mouth?
I don't try to
And
put any
breathed
powder
it
in my
in?
mouth. No. The only
And
powder things I put on myself go through my nose.
Well, maybe your mother put baby powder on your butt when you were a kid, but other than that.
Nice. I think
that's everything I've been watching, man.
Nice. I you know what I had to mention in addition, just so you to kind of break the mold a little bit here and in my Star Trek binge, which by the way, if you're new to the show, is basically my attempt of bringing my wife up to speed on Star Trek because she wanted to know more and she got tired of me pausing and finding references. So we're watching Star Trek in order, and that's the reason why all I watch is Star Trek lately. And my poor anime. I want to watch anime. Anyways, so What I've been watching also is an anime called Data Life. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, are
Uh,
you watching season 5?
I am starting in season 2 of Data Life.
All right.
So it's very, very interesting. It's definitely sci-fi,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. This guy has to date the spirits and make them fall in love with him. Otherwise,
So he can seal their powers.
so he can steal the powers, because if he doesn't, they'll destroy cities.
Yeah.
So he
No pressure.
exactly.
I thought dating was enough pressure without that sort of pressure. Jesus.
So he's up to 3 girls now.
Really? Is that all?
Yeah, up to 3. But remember,
In season 5, he's got like 12 or
I
something.
imagine, because there's a lot of spirits, and he has to save the world, dating 1 girl at a time. But yeah,
Even
called Dead
one of
Alive
them-
or-
one of them's even a lesbian, and he managed to like make her jump the fence. I couldn't believe
wow.
it.
Yeah, it's called Date A Life, and it's on
And
Crunchy.
it's up to season 5. Season 5 is current, like it's showing now, and I'm like, wow, it just keeps going.
I'm gonna watch it. You sold me out on the part where you say banging ghost.
No,
reminds
dating
me-
spirits. It's slightly different.
Oh, because you think that banging is not part of dating, huh? You're one of those idealists.
Not in Japan, apparently.
No, not in
Yeah.
Japan.
No premarital sex. Da-da-da-da-da.
Unless you're reading the dojin, no banging.
One of the girls in the, I think it was the beginning of season 2, was took the
You see, I talk about banging ghosts, and he goes BDSM right away, dungeons and stuff.
he took he took
I have not. That's one thing I want to do. I haven't visited a dungeon once, but this kind of reminds me that I made an appearance at a lifestyle party, and the one that was running the party and the meet and greet, they came and got me from a hotel to take me to dinner, and there's him and his girlfriend are driving there, and because I get lost everywhere I go. I'll be completely honest with that. So they came and got me from the hotel, and we went, and I'm riding in the back seat, and we're talking, and she goes, "You know what I just realized?" He's like, "What's that, babe?" She goes, "We take all our potential 3 ways to this restaurant." I'm like, "Wait, what?" No, it didn't happen. But it was just, I was sitting in the back going, "Wait, what?" I'm just here for me, because this is supposed to be about me, an appearance, meeting fans, not potential. This was not on the memo.
Yeah, that was
Maybe they were
perfectly
just
dumb.
throwing a line in the water.
It could have been. I didn't push and find out. I was like, "Dude, well, look what's over there."
That was perfect foreshadowing for what's going to happen to you next.
I think so. Lovely couple, though. They were very lovely couple.
Hey, look, that solo looks like a giant dildo.
mm,
Oh, sorry, wrong topic.
yeah. Kid you not. I mean, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Awesome. So before we move on to the next topic, I just want to make sure that I let you guys know out there who are listening to the show for the first time, because if you're listening to the show, you know who Nikki is. So I just wanted to let you know this episode, like many others before, could potentially go not safe for work, because you even our regular episodes, I don't recommend you listen to during work hours. But if you don't know this voice, if you don't recognize this voice, this is a podcast that I strongly recommend it if you are over the age of 18. Very, very important, and not to listen during work hours. You want to put in your headphones and listen to it. Great podcast. So Nikki is from Dear Nikky, a podcast. If you are over the age of 18 and you haven't listened to the show and you're okay with sex topics, I strongly recommend this podcast. Nikki, can you tell our new audience a little bit more of what I mentioned? I mean, I am a fan of your show, but it's better to listen from the creator itself.
I know. I think we've known each other since day one, pretty much. Uh, I read sexual confessions from all over the world. It's not. I don't have a co-host like these gentlemen here. It's all done by me. Think of it like the way I can help the listeners picture it is, think of the old penthouse style letters that were written by people, not writers. And then I give it kind of a Dear Abby twist where I actually am asking myself, along with my listeners, if this is something they could or would, or what would they change with their partner or could even consider. Because that's one thing that I honestly do believe when it comes to relationships is that if you can handle all the big decisions in life, why are we falling aside? It seems like our sex lives are falling. And that should be just as important as paying bills, taking care of the kids. And I think identity gets lost. But what I'm finding is my listeners are older. So it's like maybe their house is just becoming empty. They're empty nesters. So they're looking to put that spark that they had before children back into, and to hear some of these stories. We were just talking a few minutes ago, like the changing room story where they didn't get really caught, but they got called out at the register saying, people usually go fuck in the plus size, not building, but the dressing rooms. So I never know what I'm going to get. And it's absolutely just amazing what I do get.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for being in the show again.
Anytime. You guys know that. And
Isn't
to answer
your doggo your co-host?
Yeah, no, he's not. That's Zeppelin, named after the band. That's the doggo I occasionally talk about during the podcast. That's my sidekick that rides with me in my Jeep. So yeah, he I don't know if you can see him. He was over here a minute ago, but yeah, that is Zeppelin, my golden. So yeah.
Nice.
And just to finish that thought, man, let me put it this way: why I love how the way that her show works is because it's just her, but she's reading and basically dramatizing what she's reading too with her own thoughts. So it feels like you are in a personal conversation with her. Really,
Yeah.
that's the most fun part about listening to Dear Nikky in bed with Nikky.
Yeah, right, Dear Nikky. I used to be called In Bed with Nikky, and I ended up changing because it really just felt like it was letters to me. So I just changed it to Dear Nikky. So some of your listeners probably do remember me as In Bed with Nikky.
Yeah, I went looking for In Bed with Nikky and couldn't find it.
It's Dear Nikky, like you're writing a letter now, just like they have me there, Dear, and then Nikky. Yeah.
That is a testament of how loyal of fans we are, that we remember
I remember back
You're the inner circle.
Yeah, that's before the international best-selling book and all the appearances. It's all way before that. Yeah, that's how far we go back, guys.
Awesome. Okay, so are we ready to go into the next segment?
Yep.
We are Science Fiction Remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is SciFi.
And if you're new to the show, this is a segment where we talk about our hashtag, This is SciFi. And the SciFi is designed, the hashtag This is SciFi is designed to join up the community. So if you are a fan of anything sci-fi, you have a particular passion like we all do, and you want to share with the world, or if you are a creator of something that is sci-fi in nature and you want to share it with the world, all you got to do is just do your post like you normally do and just have the hashtag This is SciFi. And that way you let us, as well as everybody else who follows that hashtag, know about the thing that you either created that you are passionate about as your baby, or the thing that you love as a fan that you want to share with the wider audience. And basically what you're going to get a couple of things here. You're going to get either exposure to something that you love to someone else that otherwise might have not known about it, or you're going to find someone that has seen that one thing or has enjoyed that one thing that you are sharing, that you have a passion for, and you ignite a conversation. And either way is a win-win. So we really, really enjoy the kind of things that we see so far, and the hashtag This is SciFi. I use it myself whenever I encounter a drought in the sci-fi area, And one of the things, and I don't get tired of talking about this. One of the greatest, the most fantastic things that I've seen happen with a hashtag is there was this particular IP that this particular person did not want to give it the day or night, right? They had a preconceived notion about that IP and they just refused to give it a chance. And this particular person decided to um, follow the hashtag this is sci-fi, and they post their own thing, and in their interaction with the hashtag they found someone talk about that one thing he did not want to give a chance, that one thing that he did not want to watch. And the person who talked on that post gave their heart and soul, their passion about why they love that IP, and it was enough to cause curiosity on this person. And after that, they watched that one IP, and they're a fan now. So it's really amazing to me when I see things like that happen all the time, because everybody here, in the podcast, this is sci-fi, the science fiction right now, we love sci-fi, and we love all kinds of sci-fi, and it's amazing to me to find, you know cross interaction between IPs that normally hate each other, and find commonality where someone from this IP loves the other IP. And that's just one example of things that happens on the hashtag. So I really, 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 I am very happy, because at the beginning of this journey, when because the reason why I created the hashtag was because I find the communities online, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I always wish there was a way that I can follow a community that follows all sci-fi, and not just have to go to the IPs, or the communities for the IPs, the individual IPs that I like. And this is one way that we can collaborate. So remember, if you're a fan, or if you're a creator, could be a writer, it could be a podcaster, it could be a producer or director or whatever it is. If you have that one thing that you love as a creator, as a fan, just add "this is sci-fi" to your post and share with the world. We also have discussions on Twitter. If you are willing to participate, just reach out to us and we can let you into the chats. And don't forget, we also have our very own Discord channel. We have a channel for anything you can imagine. And if you have that one IP that is not as a channel in our Discord server, let us know. We could definitely make it a thing. So before
What's one more? We have so many.
yeah, we literally have a lot. So I find it very hard that if you join our Discord, you're not going to find a channel for the thing that you love, because we have so much in there. And also, I want to say we also have a hotline. So if you want to leave a message for the show, if you want to leave a message for the host, if you want to leave a hate mail for our very own Captain Chaos, which we're still waiting for, there's a hotline. You can call 305 563 6334 and leave us a voicemail. The great thing about the voicemail is, in addition to leaving a message, you can also leave a voice message for your thing. Like, you might have a question, you might have a comment, and we can make it a conversation on the show. So if you call, we will definitely play your message on the next episode. And we have a message. And I'm going to go ahead and play it for you guys.
Hi, guys. This is James Allocca, the author of Black Saucer, Descendants of Craig, and Star Cops. Just wanted to thank you for the shout out. Really loved it. Loved the show. I'll keep listening to it because I really do enjoy it. And once again, just wanted to say thank you very much. Have a nice day. And again, thank you. Bye.
And thank you so much. We really appreciate not just the message that you left on our Hotmail, but we also appreciate your interaction. You're always active with our account, and we really appreciate that. I will actually leave a link to the Amazon post he is the author of about, I believe, 3 books. But at any rate, the link will be in the description so you guys can check it out. They're definitely sci-fi books, and if you're hungry for sci-fi, there would be there's nothing better than the nice sci-fi book.
Yep. Nice.
I'm writing
nice.
a sci-fi book at the moment.
Yes.
And so are you, Robert.
Oh yes.
Ish. Well, sci-fi adjacent.
Well, yeah, it started with
He wanted to make it like 50 Shades of Robert, but or 50 Shades of Cyber Sex, but
it's
he
definitely
sugarcoated it.
it definitely started as smut, and it's turned into something bigger than that. So
Well, you should patent what you wrote about there, man. You could be a millionaire.
Must have
You
been
could be millionaire and the responsible of a lot of happiness for a lot of men.
It must have been the requisite amount of excitement for it to get bigger.
No, it was a device he spoke about in the first little part that he wrote before he started writing the book called JJ 2000 Suction.
Wasn't that in Cyberpunk Edge Runners? I saw lots of guys wearing.
Oh yeah, there's something there too. Yeah, but I mean, over in Cyberpunk is like a cup, and here he's a walking thing.
if you are curious about it, join our Discord because I actually have that initial. Well, I also have part of the book in there too, so you can read both. Just join our Discord channel, and there is a channel where you can actually read the inspiration single page that I used to write the book that I started to write. So just to give you context, it's about the creation of a robot, not like Galaxina here, where they needed to test her, and they send her home with one of um, the code creators of the project. Try not to give you too much of it, but the reason why they picked him is because he was only working the code, so he had no idea what this robot does, and he had no idea that he actually helped design the code, the AI code behind her interaction. And they fell in love, and you can
Wait till you read about the Turing test. Oh boy.
So I take it that they didn't have to look through a catalog to get a you know what for her.
No, it was all included because he was an employee.
He got the employee benefits and the staff discount.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
So
bonus.
Yeah, bonus. Although Ray didn't like
I did not like it. It just needed some work. It could use a little tweakage.
Yeah, he's definitely a whiny guy. So why me?
Let's give credit to Ray too. Like Ray's input has been empirical in the perfection of the writing for the book.
Yes,
Ray has been a great collaborator actually to Alex and John.
Yeah, if you guys join our Discord, you'll definitely see that. It's been invaluable. So thank you.
Yeah, I was trying to help Robert. Like he was asking me for feedback, and I was giving him to the best of my knowledge. But I am not a writer, so I was giving him more feedback on like the interpersonal relationship between characters. But when Ray come in, I was like, let me just shut the hell out. This guy knows.
Well, the thing about writing an interaction between two characters, and when that's the main focus, you got to be careful not to overstate things. And Robert has a habit of stating the same thing like 6 times in a chapter.
Yes.
and twice would have been plenty.
Yes. Awesome. And Nikki, I can, since you're a dear friend of the show, I can send you either the PDF draft, very, 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 very early draft.
Alpha.
It's not completed. There's only a couple of chapters. So you let me know if you want PDF or if you want for a Kindle. I have them for both.
Well, you can send either one. I mean, I could read it on the way. I have a long flight coming up, so I could read it there.
Yeah, this is probably a couple of hours, Ray? How long do you say for the chapters?
Oh, it depends how fast you read. I mean, some people read really, really fast. I'm not one of them.
We'll have an
But
8-hour flight to kill, so
average speed reading, it's only a few chapters, so you'd probably finish in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
oh, okay. So I'll have to bring another book. Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so before I move on, anything else that you guys like to add to either the segment or the message from James?
No,
I just
wanted
thought
to
that
give him a
was
special thank you. That's
yeah. That what he said.
What he said. Right?
Jinx.
Yeah,
Jinx.
that's right.
Jinx.
I got to remember, Gio's over here, not there or that way.
High five.
You're,
High five.
Oh wow! And you see what you guys were missing? If you guys are not following YouTube, you have no idea what you're missing because you're here. If you're listening to our pod right now on your ears, you have no clue what the heck is going on right now.
You're missing the Brady Bunch, basically.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And if you're old enough to get that, awesome.
And okay, so we're gonna go into the next segment.
Shout out.
Shout outs. I want to give a special shout out to this fucking. It's written Fukken. Okay, write that down. This fucking feelings podcast, and you can find their tag at fucking feelings. If you're looking for a good podcast that explores topics about interpersonal dynamics, mental health, and self-discovery, give it a listen. They're awesome. Also from Discord, JJ Hunsecker, always active, always engaging in conversation. Awesome dude. And from Discord and YouTube, actually, Deeds from Space Castle. Go and check him out on YouTube and give it a listen. I love listening all the time to this podcast. I will leave the link in the description, and I will tell you, just like in our podcast, go and check out on something that you have watched or you like of the IPs that he's covered. But you're gonna have a great time with him. And last but not least, Nikky's chauffeur, JD Hummer 34. Awesome, dude. I didn't know you were a fan, but I mean, by all means, join in our social medias and join the conversation, man. We're always engaging with our listeners and communities. So awesome to know, man. For
Robert, did
real.
I just see hearts come out of your head?
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's some special effects.
It's like the. Can I do it right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're supposed to do it like that. See, I guess
Oh,
he's special. I'm not.
Oh, well, if we talk about what we were talking before, it's like this.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It was 18 inches. Yes.
Oh god.
Just do this. You just do this and say 18.
And I
It was
will
18
say the
inches
same
long
thing
and
I
like
said
this.
then. It may stretch out, but it may not go back, boys and girls. Just be
I
aware
don't
of that.
want any of my holes.
Yeah, no. When you're dealing with that kind of diameter, it's not penetration anymore. It's called crowning.
This is true.
Should we go to the next segment?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm about to make a comment that people probably should be listening to out loud.
Hey, I'm always working hard to get us canceled. So by all means,
Not suitable for work.
go to town. Go to town.
Well, I was about to say, I've never crowned before, and I don't intend to. And my lover appreciates it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so going to the next segment. I think
Please. Please. Moving on.
Moving on. Nothing to see here.
Galaxina Army News.
Holy crap. It's Audric. Audric's back. Audric's a fan of Alita. That's good.
Ooh.
That's the blue star. Damn, I hate it. The reason that's happening is because it happens in the movie, and it's completely fourth wall breaking. So we thought we'd join in the fun. Anyway, I can't wait till that happens when I'm doing the plot. That's really gonna freak me out. Oh dear. Anyway, so Radio Chaos this week, where we were recording, was episode 214, what are your top 5 songs that would make a great Alita soundtrack? So obviously the soundtrack of the Alita Battle Angel movie, and I don't know, Nikki, have you seen the movie Alita Battle Angel from 2019?
Well, with your accent, I thought you said Lolita.
Lita.
I'm like,
as
that
in
didn't
little
know that was
wing.
sci-fi. So
Not that
all
one.
right. No, and I've seen neither. So
well, we'll have to fix that, guys.
which one?
We'll have to fix that because Alita is very sexy. She's a top tier waifu, so you need to check that out.
Okay.
But Alita is a character who was originally in a manga, cyberpunk, dark future manga from Japan, written by Yukito Kishiro. He started it in 1990, and it's still going. So it's long running, you might say. There's a lot of volumes.
Now, does that come from? Is that where the game Cyberpunk comes from, or no?
No, cyberpunk is a genre, but there's also a game called Cyberpunk, which
I've never played, but
yeah. Well, it's basically a genre about man and machine coming together and what it means to be human.
Okay.
So that's sort of the main focus of the genre, and it's really quite cool. I do enjoy those sorts of games. There's been a number of role-playing games like Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk 2077, which is now a video game. There was also another one that included magic and fantasy races as well, called Shadowrun, which was basically they threw everything in the kitchen sink into. It's a well-defined genre. It was originally introduced through a series of books called Neuromancer. Oh, that's Alita there doing a little bit of Carter.
I've seen that. I like I said, you coined the phrase cyberpunk, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm starting to piece it all together, basically.
Yeah. But that image that's being shown on the screen at the moment is Alita Battle Angel in her early incarnation in what's called the doll body. That character there is actually entirely computer generated, including her clothes and hair, which it's really hard to tell because it's been done so well.
Yeah.
But they did one movie. It was the last movie released by 20th Century Fox before they were absorbed by the juggernaut, which is Disney. And we're still trying to convince Disney to do a sequel. And that's what the Alita Army was formed for, to appreciate the movie, the source material, and all sorts of artwork and other things related to the IP, and to campaign for a sequel. And we've been doing that since early 2020. And we're still pushing for it. We haven't given up yet. So, and we're not planning to give up. So we have a live stream every Saturday afternoon Eastern US called Radio Chaos. And that's available on the Alita Army channel on YouTube. And we have different topics. And this week's topic, as I mentioned before, was what are your top 5 songs that will make a great Alita soundtrack? My top 5 songs were Eye of the Tiger, originally by Survivor, but I was looking at the Joseph William Morgan epic version. So all of these are available on YouTube. But this is just basically an epic version of the Survivor song, Eye of the Tiger. And then Thunderstruck by AC/DC, but the Boris Hazranov arrangement, which is another epic version. I put a joke one in there called the Martian Song, which talked about feeding a visiting Martian M&Ms and chocolate bars, which Alita is a big fan of chocolate, so it kind of fit perfectly. Then it was Titanium by David Guetta. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's a fairly upbeat. I wouldn't necessarily call it a preppy song, but it's one of those sort of really modern, not quite techno, but very, very heavy beats. Pretty Little Psycho by Porcelain Black was my number 2, and my number 1 was Katy Perry E.T., which a lot of people should know. But it was a rock cover by First to 11. So you can look up all of these on YouTube, and check out my recommendations. But they're all pretty either epic or rocky, because that's the sort of music I'm into.
No soundtrack for Hugo.
Maybe the Death March, but that's about it. He gets the Death March.
There's a soundtrack for him. Ludacris did it. It's called "Move, Bitch, Get Out the Way."
Harsh but fair.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, so are we ready for these, puppy?
I don't know.
I want to see some puppies. Yeah.
I want to say this is the most accurate depiction of a sci-fi space film ever created.
Do I need to go and get a gun? Shoot your ass.
Hey, I liked everything until the moment I saw her crying. That's when I was like, "What?"
That wasn't crying. She was leaking coolant.
Leaking coolant? Oh, okay.
Leaking coolant, man. Come on, get it right.
Okay. Does she have leaks somewhere else?
No, it wasn't. They forgot to order that in the catalog.
I hope it doesn't happen like Cherry 2000 that she just got a short circuit.
I don't know if this is going too far off topic, but the job that I got recently is supporting teaching at a local university in the nursing and midwifery simulated learning environment space. And there's a lot of mannequins which have a lot of shall we say yes, exactly, simulated normal birthing abilities, and you got to like load the model baby inside the stomach, and then you can use a computer to make the mannequin make noises and cry out, and then have contractions, and then the baby starts coming out. So it's the whole box and dice, right? And it needs a lot of lube. Like, I'm talking a lot of lube, right? We use heaps of the stuff, and cleaning it all up afterwards. Yeah. So yeah,
sounds like a vaginal ultrasound. Just saying. And then they give you a rag about the size. Okay, go clean it up. It's like you just like, if I ever wanted to know what being, a small train, maybe a couple little lots of what it feels like to have that much on me. This is my experience, but yes, they give you a rag, but they put all kinds of lube, and the condom itself that goes over the thing is like, it stretches forever. And so there you go. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But so much lube that you
so much lube.
My God.
So much.
There's always time for lube. Name the movie. Evolution. We've done it.
Oh God. Okay.
I had to.
And again, if you're wondering why we stop mid-sentence, you're not following our YouTube channel.
Ray, by the way, if you can, I want to see a video when you guys are preparing the mannequin. I want to see a reverse birth.
Huh?
You can check out anytime you like, and you can leave, but you can never get back in.
What is the name of the mannequin? Hotel California?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I think I'm going to ask a question to move this conversation along. And it's like, do we have a plot?
Yeah, we do.
Well, the movie has a lot of plot development.
I don't know if the movie has a plot, but we have one. Okay.
Well, that's what I was asking.
It starts with a huge penis flying through the sky.
That was a spaceship.
You
have to use your imagination.
Yes, we did.
Anything is a dildo if you're brave enough.
Oh, God.
With 6 ball sacks, did I count them right? 6. Or a bad STD problem. Pick your choice. Here.
I'm going to be back in a second. I'm just going to let the cat out because it's going to meow at me all the way through the plot. That's going to be really annoying.
Oh wow. Yeah, so I was just wondering about it because I mean, just to give you a little perspective, and I want to know here pretty much, has anybody except me, and I know Ray's answer already, has seen this prior to today, or is this like basically new for everyone here?
Completely new. But like I was telling you, when I was heading off to that engagement I had to be to in Wichita, I was listening to a podcast that was actually talking about her, and we won't, you can go and find it and do a deep dive into her. But they had listed the movies that she had been in. And I went, oh, well, hey, I'm getting ready to watch that. So it was nice to see her. But no, I'd not heard about it until you had mentioned it, and I didn't know who the actress was. But today was the very first time.
You're talking about Dorothy Stratton,
Yes.
who played Galaxina.
Yes.
Apparently, she was murdered by her husband shortly after the film's release, so I don't think he liked it.
You'll have to go listen. It goes way deeper than that. It was, I think, the podcast I was listening on, it was like a 2-hour episode. Just a deep dive into it all. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like those backgroundy things. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right.
you seen this also for the first time?
Yep. Today was my first time watching this.
Okay, so
And the funny thing is that my brother came visit, and he sat right next to me while I am doing my notes, and he's like, "What are you watching?" And I just could tell him he's Christian, so like I don't talk like perverted things with him because like it won't fly with him. But he's watching it, and I just could tell him like, "Compadre, it's just a weird movie." That's everything I could tell him. And he was like, "Yeah, that's right."
The first time I've watched
I liked
anything
it.
off Internet Archive. I've never seen movies off Internet Archive before, but apparently there's two channels on YouTube that have the whole movie as well. So obviously the copyright on this has lapsed. Whoever owns it has died or something like that. So they're not chasing it anymore.
I think he died in 22 is what I looked at when I was looking up, because I was going back to what I was talking about with her, and I was putting all the pieces together, and because she was dating the director.
Oh.
Yeah.
William Sachs.
Well, no. I don't think it was Peter something or other. She was dating a director, maybe not of this movie, maybe a different movie, but she was dating that guy when all this was going on. And I went back and I was like, okay, because I remember, like I said, the podcast, I was doing a deep dive on, okay, this is how it happened. But I think I read he died in 22.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So just to give you a little perspective here, and we'll probably get in deeper into it. But this movie, I saw it for the very first time when I was 11 years old. And it's really interesting, and we'll probably get into it in the first question on the show. But it was like, when you're a kid and you have that contraband movie that you don't want people to know, and a group of friends together, and they put it on the VCR, and we all sit down to watch it in the dark. Yeah, that was.
And you think you're being so rebellious because you're watching something that you think is sexy.
Exactly.
He only realizes when he has a sticky magazine in his hands. Oh boy.
Well,
Pile of magazines out in the back shed that nobody talks about.
We also
for some reason isn't dusty.
We also went after the 1979 Playboy magazine. So yeah, that was a shocker for me. So, but we'll get into that. Do we have a plot? Because I mean, I feel like the movie doesn't even need a plot, because
the plot didn't start till 30 minutes in, maybe 45.
Something like that. The plot came and went.
Did anybody count how many times? Did anybody count how many times they had the flying penis through the air in different directions? That flying penis took up most of the 45 minutes.
Yeah.
When it did the handbrake turn with the screechy tire noise, that's
yes.
That's when I sort of went, oh my god.
You have to suspend your disbelief there, huh?
I should really get you to read the plot in the deep voice. That would be more. In the year 3008, the crew of the intergalactic space police cruiser Infinity is on patrol duty in deep space. The ship is captained by the incompetent Cornelius Butt and his crew, his first officer, Sergeant Thor, pilot space cowboy Private Robert Buzz McHenry. God, that's a long name. Lots of inverted commas too. Maurice, a black humanoid alien with pointy ears and bat wings, and Sam, an Asian who quotes Confucius. Also aboard is Galaxina, a voluptuous blonde android servant, and a rock eater, a rock-eating alien prisoner confined to the brig. They really thought hard about his name. While the Infinity hides behind an asteroid, much like police cruisers do behind signs on the freeway. Oh, a suspicious-looking bird-like ship flies by, not a rip-off of a bird of prey from Star Trek. No, definitely wasn't. And Buzz decides to pursue it. They try to question the ship's pilot, a mysterious masked figure who rudely terminates communications. The two ships exchange laser fire, but the bird ship gets away. After the encounter, Galaxina serves a dinner of chicken-flavored food pills to Captain Butt, Thor, and Buzz. The three men are stunned by her beauty, and Thor receives an electric shock when he slaps her buttocks. Tired of pill food, Captain Butt decides to eat an alien egg confiscated from the rock-eater prisoner. The egg sickens him, and on top of the dinner table, mimicking a scene from the movie Alien, he coughs up a baby alien creature, which quickly scurries away. Later, the crew receive orders to proceed to the prison planet Altair 1 to recover a priceless stolen gemstone called the Blue Star. Where's the noise? Thank you. I can't move on until you do that, man. Every time I thought you'd be ready. I thought you'd be there with your finger above the button, ready to go. Every time the stone is mentioned, an invisible heavy chorus is heard by the characters. Blue Star. Thank you. Much better. The trip will take the Infinity 27 years to complete, as it doesn't have a hyperdrive, requiring the crew to enter cryogenic sleep. Before doing so, they make a quick stop at an asteroid brothel, because that's what you do before you're going to be frozen for 27 years.
Of course.
Galaxina remains in charge of the ship while the crew are in stasis. While alone, she reprograms herself to become more human. She learns to talk and disables her electrical defense mechanism. She visits Thor's sleep chamber periodically, embracing it and telling the sleeping Thor that she loves him. Not very yandere, not much at all, really. Later, the baby alien visits Butt's chamber. That just sounds wrong. And tampers with the controls.
Hey, Ray, have you seen my name?
Yes, I have, Admiral Butts. I saw that in the way in. When the crew awakens at their destination, Butt emerges from the pod, an old man with shaggy grey hair. Thor is seduced by Galaxina and falls in love with her. Although she lacks the proper hardware to have sex, she assures Thor that these components can be ordered from the Android catalog. Thor can only fantasize about Galaxina until they return home to get her modifications, which will take another 27 years. Jesus Christ. The ship reaches Altair 1 and lands. Knowing that the local aliens are hostile to humans, Galaxina volunteers to go and look for the Blue Star. Thank you. While the others stay on the ship, she walks into town and enters a human restaurant and discovers that means the restaurant serves humans as food to alien creatures. There she finds Audric, the masked figure and crew, the crew encountered earlier, like 27 years earlier. Audric possesses the Blue Star. Thank you. And Galaxina attacks him. You've got the other one. Galaxina discovers Audric is a robot when she smashes his head open. Audric is deactivated and Galaxina takes the star. I didn't say the other bits you can't do the
Come on,
noise.
say it. Say it. I dare you.
Blue Star. Thank you.
Ooh.
As she flees the town, she is captured by a gang of bikers, descendants of the first settlers of Altair 1. Their leader announces that he will sacrifice Galaxina to their deity, Harley David Son. Yes, it is a motorcycle. And with the power of the Blue Star, he will take control of the universe. Thor and Buzz, who have been looking for Galaxina, rescue her from the bikers and return to the ship. They also stole their god. Audric attacks and boards the Infinity as soon as they reach space. He takes back the Blue Star.
Ooh. I'm having too
And
much fun with this.
I know, and confines everyone to the brig. The baby alien, now fully grown, sneaks onto the bridge and attacks Audric by biting his ass out. The creature, believing Butt to be his mother, goes to the brig and gives Butt the keys to open the cell door. The crew escapes the brig and rushes onto the bridge, where they find Audric has been torn to pieces. While contemplating the reward they will receive for returning the Blue Star, they notice the Rock Eater has eaten it. Roll credits.
It is the part where they like rewind and go back to get more.
Yeah.
Oh god. That is a plot. That is a plot worthy of the back of a bootleg DVD case from China.
So here's my question. This was so much like Spaceballs, right? And you and I, Captain Admiral or Admiral Butts, looked it up, and yeah, so phonetic, so wrong. But we looked it up, and Spaceballs was made much later.
Mm-hmm.
And my question was like when he ate the egg, I kept waiting for blue milk. And then I kept waiting, like the blue milk on one of the sci-fi movies that's out there ever. They had blue milk. It was really weird. But then I kept waiting.
Wars.
Thank you. And I kept waiting for, I noticed like when he birthed the critter or threw it up, that Spaceballs kind of did the alien thing as well.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Exactly.
Hello,
That's
my
I was like, I liked their version better, but the critters were so similar.
Yeah, I feel that this is such a in my eyes, this is such a classic that I don't doubt that this was somewhat inspired.
Mhm.
At least the whole
I'd
aesthetics.
say portions of it, yeah.
I see. This is one thing about this movie. Whenever I mentioned, and I'm very very curious to hear your thoughts on this film. Whenever I mention this film, no one seems to know this film. This is definitely one of those hidden films.
Mhm.
How did the film? As a matter of fact, I didn't even look it up. I don't know if someone here can look it up. How much it made and how much it cost.
Its box office was 4 million.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that was domestic US or worldwide, but it cost 5.5 to make.
Okay, so it
wasn't in the black.
Yeah.
At least not until they sold 1 million VHS copies or something.
I know for me, I had not heard of the movie until I was driving and listening to that podcast, and they mentioned that she was on it, and they actually listed her movies, and that's when I was like, oh, well, now I've heard of it, but until then I'd never heard of it. But in my defense, I'm not a big movie watcher,
So I guess we can move on to the very first question that we ask at this show. And I wonder if I should probably go last because I don't want to influence your responses. But the question that we always ask at the beginning of the show is typically is how old were you and what was your very first impression of the film? Since you guys all saw it for the first time, very recently. You can actually take turns. So who wants to go first? And I'll go last in responding.
Seems fair.
Okay.
Well, I'll lead off.
Okay.
I had actually seen the poster for this, or I guess it was the cover of the VHS back in the day, on the shelves. I remember seeing it at the local video store in the 80s. And I never picked it up because I thought, oh, my parents wouldn't want me watching something like that. I'd get in huge amounts of trouble. So I wasn't even as daring as Mr. Robert, Mr. Admiral Butts, with his sneakily watching something like this. I wasn't that daring. But I'd seen the cover, but I'd never seen the movie. So yeah, it's been less than 24 hours since I've seen it. I'd have to say, in parts, it was so bad it went right around the clock and came back to good again. There was smart bits. There was quite a number of bits that were quite draggy, but I just had to start laughing eventually because it took a long time for them to build up to good jokes. It's sort of like we'll use all of the really dodgy jokes at the start, and then we'll get better and better and better. And by the time people finish watching it, they'll have a better impression than if we lead off with our good jokes and just peter out at the end. So I think that's how they went for it. Apparently, there were scenes that weren't filmed because when they were making the movie, there was a lot of heavy rain, and they lost a couple of filming days. So they ended up rather than extending the film shoot because they didn't have the money, they actually had to skip some scenes. And the reason the film drags a bit is because it's missing some key scenes that they believe. Well, the editor has said since the movie was made that if he'd had those key scenes, he could have edited it down better and had it a bit more punchy rather than where it dragged a little bit. But I think it has its place as sort of that sexy sci-fi, much like Barbarella. I don't think it was quite as successful as Barbarella because it was going a bit heavier on the humor than Barbarella did. Yes. Barbarella was sexy with a bit of funny. This was silly funny with a little bit of sexy. So it sort of flipped the script a little bit and went back the other way. So I don't think it was quite as successful as Barbarella, but I did have to laugh out loud a few times, like when they were bowing down to the Harley Davidson and stuff like that. It just cracked me up. So it has its moments. You'll have to just like wait through the slow bits to get to the good bits, but I think it's worth watching.
What about you, Nikki? What were your first thoughts when you watched it?
Well, now that wow.
Yeah, that checks out. Wow.
Yeah.
You summarized what I said in one word. How good is that?
Wow. Yeah. It is not on my rewatch list. I will say that. Unless I have some decent pot and alcohol.
Nikki, I would have to say,
you're gonna waste the decent stuff on it?
Before you continue, I would have to say, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So now that I did not realize that they had some days taken away due to weather, I'm wondering if the 30 minutes of the penis flying around those were the shots that they missed because the story doesn't start till 30, 45 minutes in. It's literally just it's like they ad-libbed. So it doesn't fit in my 10-minute rule. Like if it doesn't catch my attention in 10 minutes, I'm gone. This definitely went well past my 10-minute rule. So the only reason I watch it is for you lovely gentlemen. Count yourself blessed. But I was talking to Robert before we came on, Mr. Admiral Butts, that I kept waiting for it to turn into soft porn. I honestly did. And it got really close. It did. It's like it led right up there and they were like, and then it would just cut away. And I'm like, talk about a fucking cock tease. But I really wish they would have gave her more lines. I thought she did really, really well.
Yeah.
But they didn't. She really didn't talk. And I mean, she had the movements and all that. And
she couldn't talk until like a third of the way through the movie.
Yeah,
when they had that 27-year downtime where she reprogrammed herself.
So I'm wondering if the weather was in the beginning, and maybe, because I mean, in my opinion, they could have done the movie in 45 minutes, and it would have been a good movie because it would have held my attention at least for 30, and I could have, because I found myself the first 30 minutes, when the penis was flying around, I would skip to where I could see someone that would talk. And I would do it over and over again because I was like, okay, I've seen the penis flying. How many more angles can this fly at? I mean, upside down. Does it vibrate? What are we talking here? Show me some movement. I mean, it wasn't attached to hips, so I couldn't see the thrusting action or anything. But but like I said, I do.
We didn't get to see. Did we get to see below above?
No. Didn't get to see anything. But
they tried to copy the whole opening of Star Wars with the Star Destroyer cruising through, and that was an impressive model, and it took like I think it was 30 seconds to go past. This took like 2 minutes.
I'm like, okay, so I know, but if they were, I'm like, okay, so I know nothing about writing, direction, or anything else.
Filler.
I was like, you could tell the first 30 minutes is major filler. Horribly major filler, and I felt bad that it was major filler because I think it easily could have broke even. I think if you didn't have 30 minutes of filler. I agree, the bikers did catch my eye, but I started thinking of Grease, and I kept waiting them to break out in song like Grease Lightning.
Yeah,
I was waiting for Sandra Dee to show up, and none of that happened. So I did like the Western references, like they used a little bit of this or that, but it going back, I started thinking also how comical it was. It felt like Blazing Saddles. So I kept waiting them to bust through a movie screen and push out the tush and that song. I kept waiting for that to happen as well. So it was kind of all over the place. It was charming. I don't know if it was in a chuckle factor kind of way, but someone was smart enough to not make a sequel. That's for sure.
Why did they call the ship the Infinity? Because it took that long for it to get anywhere.
Yeah.
The problem is that it took so long, and it was not for the figurative meaning of it. It was literally
because you have Dorothy Stratton there, and I think the part obviously was written for her or for someone in her type person, and I wouldn't call her, in today's standards, she wouldn't be voluptuous. Just saying. I mean, she's a very gorgeous woman. She was absolutely gorgeous, but in today's way we define figures, she wouldn't be voluptuous. No, when I think of voluptuous, I think of like a Marilyn Monroe figure.
Yes, and I know what you mean because I think Marilyn Monroe was gorgeous, and it's that Victorian beauty. Yes. How Michelangelo made statues. These women are not slim, but they're gorgeous and they have perfect bodies. And that's like the embrace of the femininity of like the Victorian times. Yeah, I know what you mean, definitely.
Right, it's like the guy doing Confucius and the flying monkey. They're like, look at that ass move. I was like, what ass?
Well, I'll tell you, actually.
I was hoping she would swing her hips just a little bit, but she was very. I was like, okay, we're looking at this ass, which is she had a maid outfit on, and I'm waiting for her to, I was like, well, she is a robot, but I was kind of hoping she would, just for comedic relief, at least 2 steps to a swish swish, just a little bit,
no jazz in there.
Just swish, just a bit.
It was a maid outfit with a mini tutu underneath it, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah.
Apparently, he does not have a maid fetish.
Oh, there's all sorts of different maid outfits. But Dorothy Stratton was the 1980 Playboy Playmate of the Year. Mm-hmm. So obviously, at the time, she was considered, you know,
She
somewhat
was
of an
up for it
ideal.
the year before, but they thought she was too young, and she needed, or it was a year or two before, I believe, and they thought she was too young, so they gave it to somebody else. And I don't know the planets. Don't ask me, but yeah, she won that year. So yeah, but I thought she did great. Like I said, it's not on my rewatch list, guys. Sorry.
It wasn't in mine either.
You could fast forward the first 45 minutes and then rewatch it.
You really could fast forward the first at least 30 minutes and be done with it. You know, I mean, they do, I guess, in the 30 minutes stop at a alien brothel, so you don't see anything.
Speaking of the alien brothel, I always thought the first instance of a triple-breasted whore was
Total Recall.
Total Recall, which we did just the other week. Yeah. But there was one in this too, in 1980.
Okay, so because I watched that, if I remember Total Recall, her breasts were not lengthwise. Didn't she have a uppy and then like a triangle, or was it straight across?
They were like a happy face curvature in between the three breasts. This one was like perky up all three together.
For prosthetic breast, I was impressed for 1980.
Yeah. You know, I do agree with you, Nikki. I think it was, in my opinion, and I don't know if you guys, it was better than the Total Recall one.
Of course, you get Hans exploring the fullness of those three wonders in this movie. In Total Recall, it was just show, and then that's it. They've actually put a bunch of holes in the chicken. I'm like, oh man, what a triple loss.
It might be a photo finish, but the original Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had a character mentioned by the book, which was the triple-breasted whore of Eroticon 6. And that was October 12th, 1979. So they were probably filming this movie about the time the book was released. So it's probably a photo finish as to who came up with it. Was it Douglas Adams, or was it the writer of this screenplay? So,
or maybe it was already out in the air. And it was
the tits for sure. But
if they were filming at the same time it came out, it's not hard to pop in a scene like that. Even afterward, and throw it in and edit it in. It's not hard to do it post edit, I wouldn't think.
Now, do you want to know what's a real struggle luck besides three tits? Is this guy grabbed this concept and he was the first one to put it on TV, even if he didn't come up with it. So, like, we got now Total Recall that we're talking about, and what we refer it back to whatever it was before. So this guy probably, even though he didn't make up this concept, even that Galaxina is not a top tier movie like everybody knows about, but for references, this guy actually created a legacy by doing that, because now he's the first guy that made a movie where you have this concept of alien, if you think about it.
Yeah. Gio, did you wanted to add your first thoughts on this? I think we skipped you.
No, that's fine. Actually, I agree with everything that Ray and Nikki said. I like the comparison that Ray did to Barbarella, because I can see the similarities. And like I tell you, like we saw this on Flash Gordon too. But when they're comical like that, they are very weak on the plot. And you can see that here just with the formula that Ray said, that this is so much more comedy that there's not really a real backbone to the main story, if you think about it. In Galaxina, it's a satire, it's a sexy comedy, but artistically, I think it's a work of art, because like they actually put freaking Dante Alighieri into a comedy. You know, like when you see in Galaxina, you're seeing the 9 rings of hell and representations of everything, and they make reference to a lot of other historical things in a comical way, which is I think is very tasteful. With what Nikki said, I actually was laughing because when she mentioned that like the lack of like continuity on the plot and how long it took, it fell in my head like, yeah, it must feel like watching a movie on HD, like a deficit of attention and hyperactivity. like like what's going on? But the good thing is that the movie is able to get a laugh out of you, you know. With how long it takes really for the plot to get rolling, it felt to me like, well, we cannot do that cardinal sin today with the media that we consume. Like, look at me. I don't know how many of you guys like The Office, but like I've watched it 5 times. The first
Yeah.
season is the pushiest thing ever, but I'll put through it. So like watching the 45 minutes of this movie, if you really like it, it's like watching The Office, the 45 minutes of the movie, it's like the first season of The Office, and then it gets really good.
Well, the first season of Babylon 5, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The first season of Babylon 5. There's so many references. It's what I told you, like I don't know. I think that it was very bold move, and I think that maybe because the movie was not made for the times that it came out on. Probably would have been a lot more. This kind of a spicy media like Barbarella, Galaxina. I think even Flash Gordon will be total success if they would have come out in a day and time like now instead of back then.
I
And
think
the sad thing is that they were flop, but they became highly influential in
uh,
the future for filmography.
I agree with you, but I think it needs to be the whole recipe that needs to be copied, because I remember, and I can honestly, unless I look it up, I can't remember exactly when, but they actually have a remake TV show of Flash Gordon, and I was so freaking excited because I loved the film, and it flopped, and I don't
The
know,
comic books are not bad at all, actually.
no,
Flash Gordon. The comic books are pretty good.
not at all. But I was so excited about the TV show, and the TV show flopped. And it
Mhm.
was made, in today's day with today's, well, not today. It's already a couple of years back now. But it was a better um, special effects, a lot better special effects, um, and it just completely flopped. So sometimes classic films like that, you had to be really lucky in replicating the whole chemistry. The whole thing the whole film is all, if you have the wrong actor, if you have the wrong director, if you have even if you have the right actors and there's no chemistry between them, um it's just not going to replicate that feeling. And I think that's what
Of
happened with
course.
the Flash Gordon TV show. But I do agree with you. I think this films were ahead of its time.
I think I watched a documentary after we watched the movie, Robert. I think I watched it with you, but like it seems like the actor Flash Gordon, he doesn't have a very good relationship with his past on the movie. Like he doesn't like talking about it, and I think it's a shame because I think he did a great job, and it would have been amazing if he would have done more of it. To be honest, but you see what I mean? Like all these concepts that couldn't be perfectly portrayed like we can do today of flying people and stuff like that, outer space. You imagine all of those things if they get released today with no censorship because there's no need for it. That it's gonna be for adult media content only. You have so much more out of that story. It's like it's better than I wish there would be porn like that. That had a plot. I saw this guy on a podcast I really like saying like he wants to do a new show, and it's what happens after the porn. Like, did she get the job? Did the realtor, sexy lady, sold the house? Did the stepbrother help the stepsister get unstuck from the place?
No, he
I'll
left it there.
I'll ask some porn stars that I know.
Please do.
I
That's
can pretty
another
much
convention.
tell you what happens after every one of those stories, Gio. You want to know what happens? They
Cut.
go and take a shower because they're all sticky.
That's why they call. There's a reason why they call it mac and cheese.
That's right. Every last one of them goes and takes a shower, man, because they want to get that goo off.
They don't shower together.
Maybe.
Okay.
That's not.
Don't
Look,
ruin it.
I just wanted to
me.
bring this up. Star Wars: A New Hope budget was exactly, well, I say exactly, but this is Hollywood accounting. So, according to Google, it was twice what Galaxina's budget was. So Galaxina has 5.5, and Star Wars: A New Hope, which was the original Star Wars movie, $11 million US. So it was twice the budget. But you know, again, if Galaxina had been able to film those scenes that they were planning on but couldn't film, it could have been a lot more engaging in the first 45 minutes, which would have really helped.
Yep.
But again, it's approach. It's all about the approach. And being a storyteller, and Robert, you'd understand this too as you're delving into storytelling yourself. But how you pitch a story is almost as important as what happens in the story. If it doesn't land properly, people won't engage with it. If you look at the story of Star Wars, the original Star Wars, A New Hope, it was a rollicking adventure with all sorts of shit going on, and it happened at a breakneck pace. It was like a roller coaster of sci-fi. They weren't too worried about scientific accuracy, and neither were they with this movie. But they didn't hang around doing like meal scenes where they were eating pills and it was supposed to be amusing. It wasn't pitched to be funny. It was pitched to be an adventure. And I think that if they'd pitched Galaxina to be more of an adventure with a few funny moments like Star Wars was, I think it would have landed a lot better. I think they just went too heavy on the humor, and and again, I laughed out loud a couple of times in this movie, but the story just really didn't engage very well because they focused too hard on the humor. I think that's where it fell down.
I'm wondering when they turned in the treatment for the film to pitch it to said whoever that picked up the movie, I'm wondering if, because it was that time, like you just said, Star Wars and it was huge sci-fi territory in the late 70s, 80s, right? I wonder if they're like, God, everybody's doing adventure. Let's do something different. And this is where it landed. So instead of where we're looking at it going, if you really would have pitched this way, it would have been more successful. I think they were trying to do just something different so they would stand out. Playboy bunny, in the movie, humor. It hit all the tropes of trying to be what that year's Spaceballs, but I like you guys, I feel like it missed the mark. But I think it would have felt even less under the radar if they would have gone to what everybody else was doing.
Possibly, but I mean, it's a matter of degrees. I mean, I just think they went too hard on the humor. If
I do too.
Dialed it back a bit and worked on an interesting story and a bit more, emotional depth, then I mean, there was some emotional depth there from the android, which doesn't make sense when I say it.
No, and she said, "I love you." Like as soon as she could talk, and like within the first 10 minutes, she was saying, "I love you." I wish. That's why I say that the weather hurt that beginning of the movie, because you cannot tell me that was their plan for the beginning of the movie. That I think there was character development that we really missed, that they didn't think how to do it a different way.
Well, I was actually wondering if she was going to start murdering or trying to murder Thor, because he went to the whorehouse and she was watching.
I know, right?
And I thought she was going to get super jealous and like at least punish him, if not kill him, and become a murder bot. But it didn't happen. Like she's just like, well, obviously I have to try harder. I need to learn how to talk. And
I think that was I agree. I thought, okay, she's going to do,
could have gone either way.
But I think that's where what humanoid she had in her at that time, she decided, well, everybody's in sleepy mode, that she would take it upon herself and go to Google and Google, how do I have emotions? Teach me emotions. Teach me how to tease and tempt.
Well, I think that from a psychological standpoint, too, if you think about it, she's not programmed to be possessive about a partner. Her thought process is to please that individual. So when she look at what she's supposed to represent doing that, she probably might be, instead of jealous, more into an observation mode to later as a AI or computer humanoid robot mimic that, so she can get the desired result out of that.
I think that was the first sign she had emotions, though, right there. I think that was the first sign of something, maybe not the true word of emotions, but an emotion.
Spark it up.
Yeah, kind of like, well, I look like her, so I need to know how to do that. So maybe not like you said, necessarily jealousy, but yet, how do I learn that? Where she wanted to. So there was something in her enough to make her want to do that.
That's what you call classic programming a classic computer, right, Robert?
I'm just having so much fun, and you know, if you listen to the show long enough, you know that I love perspectives, and that's the reason why. Like, for example, if you're another podcaster and you do another film about something that we covered here, I would go listen. Like if you do an episode on Galaxina, I would listen to that. I really want to get all different perspectives, and why I'm saying this is because my first impression, and just to give you perspective, I was 11. Like Ray said, I guess at the time I didn't realize, but I guess I was daring enough to get together with some friends from the neighborhood.
You are a rebel.
Someone got a copy, and we somehow got into one of the kids' bedroom, and we put in the VCR, and we watched the film. And remember, I was 11, and I remember being aroused. That I guess the puberty, hits hard. This is when you kind of like start.
Wait a
Having,
second. Did I start too early? Because for me, it was years before.
well,
I think I didn't get out of childhood
and,
that slow.
and I wasn't alone. I mean, everybody in that little room with the lights out, we were watching that, and the tiny
Robert
little
watching like
screen, and it was it was a weird experience for me. I mean, not to even mention when we got a hold of that magazine, that Playboy magazine, to see her. That was actually that was shocking, right? Because that's not what is in the film. But fast forward, because I've seen this movie multiple times after. Not today wasn't the second time, that it has been multiple times after that. My perspective, and like I said before, in every one of our episodes, everybody's perspectives change because we are who we are today as a result of our experiences and our surroundings in the past. So that's what forges who you are today. However, you know, first time that I watched it was with the mind of a child. And I watched it throughout the years as I grew up, with increasingly more grown up um, brain. And my experience was completely different. I was just talking about this with my wife. We actually watched this film today. Um, and I'm just shaking my head because I myself remember, yet don't understand why I had those feelings when I saw it so young, so long ago. Today, all I have is nostalgic feelings for this film. Um, Very, very nostalgic, but it is very comical to me. And me and my wife were just laughing. And in reflection, I remember looking at this and said, this movie is comedic. And it's like Nikki said, they went borderline, almost there, and then pull back. So you don't get to see anything basically on this film. So it's one of those puzzles, if I want to say that. Maybe eventually I'll come up with an answer for that. But it's definitely a puzzle to me as to why Robert, 11-year-old Robert, would feel aroused when
because
the
too hot.
film has nothing, really to be. I mean,
Because you had no experience and you had nothing to compare it to.
But
maybe.
it also leads you going down the path. It doesn't even really walk up to the line. It leads you down that path where your imagination can fill in whatever gaps it is. So even at that age, whatever was in his head, um, even if it's just kissing,
Yeah.
like a peck on the cheek or lips, it's going to lead him down that path. But it started down that way because like for example, her great ass walking down the, that's all you saw is just, and they didn't even show. It was short, but it wasn't too short, her skirt, and she didn't do the wiggle like I said, or whatever else. the other, when she could talk, she was still kind of robotic, kind of human, but like what we read in the beginning, it's still right there. It leads you right up there. But but it never really comes to the line. It leaves just enough where if you wanted to, your imagination could fill in that big gap.
And I think you both are right in that sense. That because that's the reason why books are such a big medium, and why whenever you have a company trying to, okay, let's make a film or a TV show about a book, why some of them or most of them failed is because it's very hard to compete with the human imagination. And the reason why books are so successful and has always been successful is because you read the scene that is is described on that page, but your brain makes the connection. Your brain makes the scene. Your brain fills in the gap and makes up what you feel it's going on, so you can understand it. And to try to put that into film and fill in the gap for millions and millions of people that have read the book and try to come up to something close to what those people imagined in their head to make that story feel real, that is very, very, very hard to compete with.
And that's why you have the saying the book was better.
Mhm.
Or, the people that go watch the book, like myself, if or watch the book, watch the movie, unless I really want to go back and read the book, I'm not going to do it because I've tried that once with Bridges of Madison County, and it's different in places. And in your head, you see the movie, and vice versa. When you do the, what read the book and then watch the movie, well, that's not how it happened in the book, and it's totally different. It's kind of like all those years that I worked phone sex, and phone sex is still, that's the biggest question I get. It's still a thing? Absolutely, because it's imagination.
Mhm.
And like we talked about earlier, there's a difference between cam girls and phone sex girls. Phone girls don't do cam like this. They just do phone,
Mhm.
and they spin a story for you, which is what I did. I never did cam. So there is a big difference. So I like, as much as I was waiting and waiting, even all the way to the end, for it to be like back in the day, Skinamax, I was waiting for that. It never did. And looking back, I'm glad it didn't. I had to go all the way through the movie to appreciate that it didn't,
Yeah.
because I expected it to, because if it was in it.
Yeah.
We know there's a lot of other movies that steer completely away from the sort of sexy impression that this one gives, that have sex scenes in them, and this doesn't even have a sex scene in it. It's like, nope, I don't even get that. Nope, sorry, none of that.
No, you got electrocuted.
We have a penthouse pet of the year and no sex scene. What?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say, Robert, with your whole, you can't understand why at 11 you got so turned on by this movie, and it's also a case of what you've been exposed to. At 11, you hadn't seen very much. I mean, even today, 11-year-olds have probably seen a whole lot more than we ever saw back then, because we didn't have the internet.
Right.
So unless you found your older sibling's stash of dirty books or VHS tapes, you wouldn't see anything, or stay up late at night and try and catch something uncensored on TV. You wouldn't see anything like that, and you just had to make it all up in your head. So by 11, you were probably pretty good at making it up in your head, and you filled in the gaps.
What I think would be a great experiment, and it would be difficult to do unless you had somebody film it, is take two 18-year-olds, an 18-year-old from 2024 and an 18-year-old from 1980, because they'd be adults and be able to talk about it on this level, and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Because like when you watch an older movie, your perspective is, like he was saying, is when you watch any movie, is different from what's going on around the world. So your environment, like he was saying, it plays into how you see the movie and what you think of the movie. So it'd be interesting to see what an 18-year-old growing up in the 1980 environment thoughts were versus an 18-year-old in 2024 environment. What I'm betting the difference is because of what the world is now and what we're exposed to and can have
Yes.
porn at the drop of a hat would
Yes.
say.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki. But
Mhm.
I think that's why porn is not the same as porn before.
Yes.
Porn before is what today is considered erotica.
Yes.
You know, because why? Because it's more into erotic side of it. It's not into the hardcore graphic side of porn. So even though what I was doing a buy and sell storage lots and auctions, and I've
Mhm.
gotten like things that are full of like all magazines of porn. I actually share some in our adult area of the server. So you see, guys, many reasons why you can join. But I was sharing it because I find it so interesting the illustration compared to what you see pornography today. It's not the same as before. When you see that magazine, it's more into the outfits, to the theme for the photo. You know, now it's like there's not much about a plot or like theme. It's just bam, 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 diggity ding. You know,
It's if
I
you
mean
go
a
back to
perfect
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like we're just saying it, you go back to Playboy 1980 versus 2024. Going to be very two
Yes.
different magazines.
Yeah.
And I mean, Robert was talking about the posters. These were the kind of posters I censor it expressively so we could share it. Perfectly censored, I think. Nobody could have done better job. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you should be watching our video right now.
Uh-huh.
But I mean,
So,
it's beautiful.
So
It's artistic.
is that two puppies and a pussy?
Yeah.
Yes.
What you've done there.
Exactly.
He put a pussy in the kitty. Yeah.
but you can tell the difference. Like let me put it this way. I like arts. You guys know that. And like when you're studying anatomy and things like that, one of the things that we artists like doing is grabbing all porn magazines like Penthouse and stuff like doesn't roam around, because the figure models on it are more expressively expressed on the pictures, that you can draw the whole body and its anatomy, enjoying how it looks. I mean, I cannot draw a chick on doggy style without doing it on top of her, you know. But I can draw a woman posing like the image that I just shared. She's beautifully posing for a photo on a setup, you know. You don't get that much of that these days compared to that. Now you have the OnlyFans, you know. And usually, like, I think that the OnlyFans too, like they do different kind of things. There are OnlyFans even for chicks that just do food pictures. There's OnlyFans where like dudes will pay the chick monthly and they will get to talk to her for an hour or so.
There's only
It's
Dion.
only GNs is very exclusive, man.
Only
That's a place
what?
that they had only GNs.
Oh,
That's very
It's the
exclusive,
Chaos
bro.
Channel.
But yeah,
Learning new
I
things.
totally felt that when you said about how pornography has changed and doing that duality of the times 80s and nowadays. I can totally see it, definitely. And definitely, like, erotica to me, it's more stimulating, I believe, for the consumer.
Yeah, all you have to do is go to any porn site and put in vintage. And ladies and gents, the 90s was vintage. Just letting you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Even early 2000s at this point. And you'll see the difference between what is out there now versus what was. That's why a lot of amateur porn is huge right now. That's why
Yes.
OnlyFans exploded. That's why Loyal Fans exploded. That's why a lot of these content creating sites, Fansly, they've just exploded because they are real women that live next door doing whatever they do behind closed doors. And the funny thing is most of those sites, it's they actually just do have women wearing a low cut top or workout outfits, and like you said, men will pay for that stuff. So it's not just girls are naked and shoving dildos in every orifice that they have. It's other things too.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I don't have one.
The foreplay.
belly button sex.
That's a thing.
Oh,
I
God.
know, it's scary.
But I want to let our audience know, if you type vintage and you see an Amish girl and a butter churn working, that's not vintage sex, okay?
Okay.
Moving on.
Even though a butter churn is very suggestive on its motion.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna actually put it out there to the listeners. If you,
He's gonna put it out.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Robert, we're ready.
Zip.
We're ready, Robert.
if you are a listener,
We're ready, Robert. Put it out.
Zip.
So is this where we judge it? I'm a special guest, a judge.
So if you are a listener who actually watched this film when you were 18 years old, and you are a listener who watched this when you were 18 years old, let me rephrase that: 18 years old back then,
Mhm.
say around 80s, maybe early 90s. And if you are an 18-year-old today that watched this film, hopefully because we recommended it here, reach out to us. Go into our Discord. We are really, really interested to hear your perspectives on this film. Because I mean, you can hear already from all of us. We all have different perspectives on this film, and it's so interesting to see the wide differences as your brain matures and you watch this film. So if you actually are on our YouTube channel, all you gotta do is scan that QR code, and it'll take us to our our Discord server, and we can go ahead and talk about Galaxina there. So
The Discord join link will also be in the show notes for the pod. So
definitely,
everybody's covered.
and of course, you can also let us know if you like our very own Captain Chaos to go play in a black hole. So
Stop quoting lines from the movie.
hey,
Lots of lube. Lube. Spit does not work.
I prefer
Ladies and
glory
gents.
holes.
um,
I prefer glory holes, Robert.
I get lots of stories on those. Go on.
I was seeing a story about like somebody that went into a glory hole in a house, like a private one,
Uh-huh.
and then he's saying they were saying that its HR manager, but he didn't tell her he didn't tell him anything.
oh wow.
Yeah, there's portable glory holes now that pop up in house parties and swinger parties, and not
yeah.
any of the ones I have been to, and I have not been to a private party, but the parties and clubs that I've been to, that I'm aware of, that I've been aware of in the places I have been does not or did not have a glory hole. If it was in a room, I do not know about it.
Oh,
That could
okay.
change though, because I'm going to a couple here this year, so I'll keep you posted.
Nice. Hey,
Running the depth, huh?
Gio, I have a question for you on this film. Did you know that they kind of somewhat had a space cowboy in this film?
Space
When-
cowboy.
Yeah, when did the Cowboy Bebop come up? Because I can almost say,
I'm
there's
not sure about the Cowboy Bebop, but I was gonna mention that the idea of domes in asteroids, it's a concept that has been explored and used a lot in sci-fi throughout the years. That I find quite fascinating, and that was the connection I made a cowboy. If you think about it, to me, it was when they showed the ship parked. That part I took it out, but the asteroid with the dome on it, on top of it, that's something that I saw Cowboy Bebop when I saw that right away.
You know whom the cowboy reminded me of? It reminded me of Woody Harrelson in The Cowboy Way.
Oh yes, definitely.
So I'm trying to find out. I think it was
Cowboy Bebop was September 2nd, 2001 in the USA.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
1998 in Japan.
I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it in 99.
That's why. I'm thinking 1998, but I think it's because it was released in Japan in 98. But
Yeah.
it was 2001 here.
Cowboy Bebop, I watched it on cable TV.
So the connection that I'm trying to make is, although Cowboy Bebop might have been inspired by this, which loosely I can say that.
I
Um,
wouldn't think so.
the, eh?
I wouldn't think so because this
Yeah.
is not the only. This is the only connection I made. But this is not the only IP that has used uh, orbs or domes laying on top of asteroids flying across space. They're not the only ones.
Well, the only reason why I'm saying this is because this film is all over the place. It's completely all over the place. You'll find Star Wars, you'll find Star Trek, you'll find everything. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's linked somewhat, um, because of the space cowboy. Not just necessarily the dome, but there was a space cowboy in the ship. So I was just wondering if you actually noticed that, because I was
Oh
watching.
yeah,
And I know it's not. It's definitely. And hear me out here to the listeners. I am not saying this is related because this makes no sense. This film came out in the 80s. Cowboy Bebop came out in 2001, and there's really no relation. I'm only mentioning this because of how this movie. It's all over the place. Basically, it's
yep.
everywhere.
So
I mean, this space cowboy topic has made it across many different industries. I mean, one of my
Mhm.
favorite funk artists, Jamiroquai, he has a song, one of my favorite ones from him, and it's called Space Cowboy. And again, Space Cowboy all across the board from many genres of sci-fi, the subgenres. It's a normal thing. If you think about it, it makes sense because space is a lawless space, doesn't belong to anybody. It's like pirates in here, which still happens surprisingly, but it does, even though it's 2024. There's pirates in oceans where
Yes.
it's nobody's territory. So it's a normal thing.
Yep.
So one of the earliest instances of a space cowboy in modern media was in comics in 1952, the Space Western comics.
Yeah. So it
So
has
it goes back that far.
Yeah, it has been in sci-fi for a while. Kind of like when we covered the trip to the moon,
Oh
and
yes.
Yes.
and then
And I mean, I wanted to also add to what Nikki said. I really really did like that comparison of the ages, but I think it's also a result of we are an ever evolving species, and we don't evolve only biologically. Part of evolving is also socially, and if you think about it, I'm just 34, and I can sense the gap in customs and way that things are between me and one generation and a half below me. People are just 20 today. Sometimes like I don't jive with them because and it's not that people are weird. It's just like we are ever evolving, and if you don't keep up with the trends and with what's going on, you fall behind. That's literally how social behavior with humans are these days.
It's like when you go watch a thriller when the person's being chased and they don't have access to a cell phone, like the 80s versions of that. And
Yes.
you go, oh my gosh, if they only had a cell phone, they could have. And you think of how much technology has evolved from then to now. That's why I think it'd be interesting, like you put out there, Robert, to
Yes.
talk to somebody that watched this movie when they were from 18 to early 20s, and the same thing as a person today watching it in the same age group. That'd be a completely great study of where their thought process was.
Robert, I found an earlier one. In 1930s, C.L. Moore created one of the first space western heroes, Northwest Smith. So that was in 1930s.
And this is, and I don't get tired of saying this. This is why I love sci-fi. And sci-fi is a thought experiment. And
Sure
this is
is.
how you get a concept, you put it out there, you see how it works. And we're lucky enough sometimes that those turn into reality after much experimentation, being a thought experiment within stories.
I feel like it's only the only genre that can encompass everything, because like I was telling you before the show began, I was watching From, which had sci-fi elements a little bit, maybe not a whole lot, but a lot. And then you go all the way to Silo, which does, but it has, you think about some movies that do, but I feel like that you can bring a Western into a sci-fi, and you can bring drama, and you can bring things, whereas a comedy is just a comedy, and it doesn't really touch a lot of the things that sci-fi can or be, even if it's minutely there. It's still part of the show, but sci-fi is everywhere, really.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, do you remember the movie Outland?
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar.
Outlander.
No, Outland.
Outland. It's set on the Jupiter's moon Io. It's about the robot that goes haywire and he's got to fight it. Basically, Peter Haymans, the director of Outland, said that the studio heads in the 1980s were unwilling to finance a Western, so he made a space Western instead. Outland took the plot directly from High Noon in 1952 and placed it on Jupiter's moon Io.
Now
Plagiarism at his best.
Now
If it works.
I have another question, and this happened today when I watched this film. There's a scene towards the beginning of this film where they're scanning the other ship. And if you look briefly at the computer monitors in the Infinity, you'll see diagrams being drawn on the screen. Then you see text, and then disappears, go back to diagram and text. And then at the end it says unknown. So it seems like the ship was scanning and it came up with a solution. And I'm gonna get your thoughts. First of all, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but this is a common thing on space sci-fi stories, where you have the ship and it's scanning, and it displays data on a screen faster than the human eye can see. And you kind of wonder, I mean, it's obviously not for humans because you can't read that fast, right? And obviously it's for the computer, because at the end it does tells you the result of whatever it is scanning. In this particular case for this film, it was the word unknown in red. So it eventually scanned that hawk-looking ship, and it determined that it did not know anything about it. Now, the realization, I don't know if I should call it that, is in comparison, comparing this to many other sci-fi films, space sci-fi films that I've seen. Do you see this as being maybe the future where we are fully integrated with AI? And this is kind of like in Star Trek or even in Star Wars, where the computer actually is doing this. Because at first I'm looking at this as like, why is it even displaying it? It shouldn't even display it. But it's all for the computer's sake. It's all for the computer. And it seems to me that is basically the AI being working together with us. And this is being displayed for the AI only. And the AI then will actually go in. And I'm talking about AI like, if you're familiar in the news, there's the Rabbit, what was the Rabbit 1, I believe, that is actually, and I'm trying to call, how is that
Yeah, Rabbit One, the phone that is like an orange square.
orange square? So what they're using is a type of AI, and I can't remember the name, but the type of AI that they're using is mimicking the actions of a user. So if you, for example, ask it to order you a pizza, the AI would physically go to, say, for example, order me a pizza from Pizza Hut. The AI would physically go to the website for Pizza Hut, using your credentials, press the buttons, and order you a pizza. And that's a complete different AI than one we're used to right now with, say, for example, ChatGPT. And I forgot the name of that AI. It's going to bug me, but yeah, that's besides the point. So we're trying to go with this is, do you feel that this is kind of like the future of that? the future of us using that type of AI integrated with us. And I kind of see this going forward. Like one example that I can say is, for example, I can go ahead, AI. I like to go on vacation from December 1st to December 17. I like to go on a cruise. Can you come up with something for me? And the AI will go and search for,
Hmm.
okay, these are all the cruises. Where would you like to go? Because this cruise goes here, this cruise goes here. It's like, well, let's try the Caribbean. Okay, here's all the Caribbean cruises that I have here. And it's like, okay, so I found this one over here, and this is the best weather, and it's all doing it by itself. And it says, okay, so I think this is the best one for you. This is how much it's going to cost. Would you like to get it? And it's like, yeah, go ahead and get that. It will go to the website, order it, pay for it, and send you the tickets via email.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like midway through that, what I see in the future. So if you guys are exposed to what, like, for example, Rabbit AI is, let's say this, um, saying that it will eventually do, because right now it's not there quite yet. Like, it only does this for a few things. What is your thought on this when you watch this film? Do you feel this might be it? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rabbit AI and what it can do.
You know, I am familiar with Rabbit. I've been following the technology since it was announced, but I think that for that to be like in the movie, Rabbit AI still needs to have a humanoid, nice body.
And see, here's the thing: AI is over in my industry too, big time. I can go over for not safe for work AI and actually build a character that I don't know how far it goes. I haven't played with it, but
I have.
it can go. It's scary how far it goes.
Yeah.
But what you were talking about, go back to Robert. What you were saying, that the computer thing, it goes all the way back to. I mean, I remember first thing that popped up was Aliens for me, the script on Aliens. But if you think of the not Terminator, but it may have been on that one as well.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, I think it's if you don't have it, it's almost like if you don't have it, are you really a true sci-fi show or movie?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the show, it's
Mhm.
like the signature that makes you sci-fi.
Mhm.
But I think it's here. It's here to stay. It's super scary, what it is. But I don't think it'll replace everything. But it's just super scary how it will. We're always going to need a human. We're always going to need it. We're always going to in some capacity. But
Mhm.
it's very scary how advanced it is already.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the announcement from OpenAI, that's actually even scarier. They just announced, and Ray, I did get your email on that. I just haven't had a chance to respond. But yeah, the announcement, if you haven't had a chance, I welcome you to go to YouTube and look for OpenAI ChatGPT 4.0
Yes.
announcement. It is scary.
That's what that output was from.
Hmm.
The one that I emailed you.
Yeah, yeah. It is scary.
With a little bit of work, we could have an AI co-host.
Yes. Actually, once they fully release
and it talks better than I do, so it might be out of a spot.
Yeah. Well, Ray, I have 4.40 on my phone right now. The actual thing that they announced on that video is not fully out yet. They're saying they're going to release it slowly. You'll notice when we have it because the UI is going to change. The buttons in the bottom are going to be slightly different. If you watch the video, you'll see what it is supposed to look like. But just to give you a little example of what is in the video, they asked the AI to sing a song. And it started singing a song. Actually, let me go back. Let's not even talk about the song. Let's talk about the story. So the guy asked the AI, okay, go ahead and tell me a story. And he started to telling them a story on the fly. And then one of the guys interrupted and say, hey, can you give me more drama? And it is scary how it changed the tone
Mhm.
and it gave drama And it's like, can you give me more drama? And he gave you more drama. And at the end, one of the lady that was there asked, can you do it with a robotic voice? And he did it with a robotic voice. So it is scary. And I agree with Nikki when she said, it's really scary, and it's not out yet. I'm kind of waiting for it so we can do some testing.
Well, it's like Randy Travis.
Mm-hmm.
He's now signed a thing where that he's allowing AI to recreate and do new songs using his voice from eons ago. Johnny Cash's family is doing the same thing.
Wow.
Is allowing it. It's scary. It's creepy, scary.
My friend / our friend, because he's been on the show before, Doc Joe Sweeney, he's an IT advisor, and he's trained an AI with his voice, and he needed 40 hours of his voice to train it. And it sounds a little bit sort of officious, like the way it talks. It's sort of a bit, I wouldn't say preachy, but it's more, this is my TED talk kind of way of speaking. But it sounds just like him.
They said if you're not someone like us that works in podcast or audio at any given time or length of time, the one key thing is pitch, where you're always going to have little breaths, little pitches. Even if we go through Ophonic, which is what I use to level my voice out, you can still tell, if you listen very carefully, you can tell AI from that, because AI will, even as they perfect it, won't have human characteristics as we will. So
this one does. You can hear it taking a breath.
They said now it's so good, they only need, is it 30 or 45 seconds now to be able to replicate. It's insane now. It's gone from what you said down to what I read the other day was like, because that kind of creeps me out. I'm like, oh, great, because my voice is out there. 5 years worth. So yeah.
Yeah, well,
with a voice and a couple of pictures, you can make any deep fake.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think of the guy that did that at a school. He did a deep fake on, and I know this is, I mean, technically sci-fi, but I don't know how he got mad at the person that worked at the school, but he did a fake AI thing where it made him sound like, I think he lost his job or something like that, but he did a deep fake with AI, making it sound like he went on a tirade of something very not good and almost lost his job or did lose his job over it. So it's very scary how it's going, because this is something that I honestly can't say, yeah, it does good, but ooh.
Yeah. It's just like anything technological. It's a double-edged sword. You can use it for good. You can use it for evil. It depends on the user.
Yeah.
It's like when you get in the elevator and you see Otis, and we all know the movie, although even if you haven't seen the movie, you know Otis. And as soon as I always read that, even though I've not seen the movie, I think of Otis, the computer that took over the elevator or the whole building, from what I remember. I think what the movie was about. But yeah, very scary.
I wanted to show you guys something just to give Nikki the idea of how much you can go on deep fakes. But I did this with AI. I do not know Keanu Reeves, just for reference.
Not getting any audio.
No audio.
No audio.
Yeah, while you get that fixed, let me actually bring our sponsor. So this episode is brought to you by Johnson's new atomic power magnesium claw. If you're interested, just call claw and send it to Planet Pluto. Operators are standing by. Okay. So you were saying something, Gio?
I was going to show
This
this.
Neo. In your world, I am better known as Thomas Anderson. You should take a moment and look up now for the podcast named The Science Fiction Remnant. They recently released an episode breaking down what is the Matrix. Although Captain Chaos had problems, because the Matrix was fighting back to silence him, they were successful in sending a message to the world. Ray, their mad scientist, Gio, the creative Machiavellian and philosopher, and their leader, Robert. They have a lot of interesting things to say that will allow you to break from the program and become a free-thinking mind. That is the first step to exit the matrix. To follow and subscribe to their YouTube channel and social medias. Do not miss this opportunity. We have an intense battle ahead of us to free the people. I am counting.
But see, for me, I can tell even if I didn't know, I can tell.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can tell. For me, I can. But there is a lot of people that don't work in our area that couldn't. And that's
It's a cadence thing.
It is a cadence thing. Once you understand cadence, and I do, even if it's naturally, it's something that I think that's going to be hard, but it's also going to get easier for them. But I think there's still going to be telltale signs. But it's going to take a trained ear into knowing them. Whereas if you're doing something malicious to somebody that doesn't work in our world or our field, that does audio stuff and cadence, they're going to get fooled. It's just another, it's a love-hate relationship with me on AI.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yes, it does make my work life a lot easier on this end. But then again, as I'm still running it and the filters and everything else, I'm going, is this a really good idea?
Well, it's actually accelerating a lot faster than was expected because different types of AI, and I won't go into the details because it gets a bit sort of cerebral, but different types of AI are expected in different years. Like there's one particular one that was expected in 2028. Like the IT pundits were saying, oh yeah, it'll take till 2028 till they get that one up and running. No, it'll be here before the end of the year. So things are really accelerating. It's getting scary.
It is getting scary. I mean, when the people that developed, this concept are going, we may not have done a good thing. It's like, okay, we're now officially maybe possibly in Terminator.
Pandora's box.
Exactly. Sometimes making life easier is not the right thing.
Skynet is here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know if you guys knew, but I was going through some things that was written about this film, and something that knowing about made me want to watch the film again to realize, because that's something that I didn't really thought it was in there, is many of the
Batmobile.
Oh, dang it! You took my line.
That is one of the things that I was like, oh, Captain Chaos will love that one.
F you. If you know, it's an inside joke.
Is the 1966 Batmobile was parked in the street in the western town. I was thinking about Captain Chaos when I saw that, because Batman's his favorite. And
the funny thing is, they didn't have to show the whole car; they just showed the windows, and it was completely enough that if you saw the 1960s version, that you knew. I just thought that was. I saw it and I knew it, and I thought, wow. You think of things that are just so, like the McDonald's arch. That's one of those things. St. Louis arch. That you see it and you know it, and that's one of those things. They only had to show the front glass, and you knew exactly what it was.
Yep.
And he was cleaning it too.
That was the whole budget right there.
I think the Batmobile was in Cherry 2000 as well, wasn't it? It was parked next to the cantina that he went into.
Hey,
one little town there.
Hey, Chaos. Go get me a Pepsi. And if you know, if you want to know, you gotta go and watch that our episode on Cherry 2000.
I am human, Robert. I can tell what are the traffic lights on the catch up text. I can.
There you go.
I already proved that I am human. I do catch ups.
You do the catch up all the time to make sure?
Yeah, I can tell what are the two figures with the same equal dimensions. I can do the little puzzle, everything.
You press.
Sometimes it takes me 3 goes to pass that thing.
Yeah, definitely. It does sometimes, but I can get through it.
Does it make you question your humanity?
Sometimes when it's the
Yup.
5th time
Yup.
and I'm repeating it again, I'm like, I need an update.
Oh wow. Yeah, Nikki's probably lost, but yeah, it was funny. It was hilarious during that Cherry 2000. I don't know if you watched that film, but there was a scene where they asked the robot to go get her a Pepsi. It was a way for the main protagonist to let her go, so they can escape. He can escape with the other woman. So she went and got the Pepsi. She's a robot, so, and that's the end.
The whole plot of the movie was Guy has a sex robot that he really is attached to in more ways than one, and something happens to it, and he needs to go and find parts, but there haven't been parts available for years, so he's got to go on this massive trek to some sort of wrecker's yard out in the middle of the boonies where there's bandits and all sorts of other things going on, and he spends most of the movie getting there, and he meets a girl along the way who's the guide to help him get there, and he falls in love with her and basically gives the sex bot the flick and goes off with the girl.
Yeah,
Pepsi.
And the way he gives her the flick was, "Hey, Cherry, go get me a Pepsi." Oh, okay.
And then they take off on a plane.
Yeah,
That's like a bad date, right? I'm just gonna go use the restroom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, literally.
Another thing that I actually was reading about is that many of the door sound effects on board the ship were taken straight from Star Trek 1966.
Yep,
Yes.
they were.
And when I read that, it was a couple of years ago, I actually rewatched the film because I was like, no, really? And it's crazy. It is. Another thing that I read about that was really interesting, at least to me, is that this is not her first sci-fi, film or sci-fi thing. Oh, there you go. There you go. And if you're not following YouTube, I'm not going to tell you. You gotta, you gotta come back. This is not her first sci-fi role, and I was really shocked when I found out she's actually Miss Cosmos on Buck Rogers' episode Cruise Ship to the Stars, and I had to actually go watch that because I could not believe it. I mean, I love Buck Rogers, and I don't know why we haven't done an episode on Buck Rogers yet, but this
We
one.
have. We did Buck Rogers.
Oh my God, I'm going senile now.
Yeah.
But I could not believe she was in there, and I had to go rewatch that episode. And yes, in fact, she was there.
We did the
So
Buck Rogers pilot. I remember it clearly.
yeah,
When he put the bomb down the guy's back and shoved him down the launch tube.
oh boy. So, and of course, I'm getting distracted here because we're watching it. Oh wow. Okay. So
Hey, it's just networking, Robert.
You were networking.
yeah, pretty much.
Networking.
Okay, so okay. So I think unless anyone else has okay, there's another. Anybody else here has anything more to add? I think we can move on to the last question.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of hashtags about you in this
I'm,
list.
I'm telling you, it's hashtag after hashtag, then the ticker. So yeah, if you are listening to our pod, you are probably very confused right now.
I'll stop now. I'll stop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess we can move on to the last question that we ask in the show. And that question, if you follow if you follow our show, the question is, what is your last thoughts? It's going to be interesting for this episode because, I'm the only one that has rewatched this multiple times. You guys only watched it once. So I guess, I don't know if you guys want me to go first, since you already know my thoughts on it. But the idea is, give me your last thoughts on this film, your last perspective, and in retrospect after this conversation. What do you think about this film? Who wants to go first, or should I go first?
Let's have our honor guest actually go first. And what are her last impressions on this spectacular movie?
Yeah, I'm definitely picking out the thing next time. Sorry. This
Oh, I'm happy. The one that you chose, actually, I really like it.
Yeah.
I really like what it, and it's gonna be a new for Robert. Robert is not so much about post-apocalyptics.
Yeah.
I love them because what I loved about when you mentioned Silo, I know that we like the same shit. And you probably love
Yeah.
also the show C from with
I have
with
not seen
Momoa.
that one, and I heard I need
Oh
to.
my god! I
That's on
promise you,
my.
you're gonna love it.
I'll do that for next time too. But
I
Robert, you
promise you.
actually would like it. I'm not a big political fan either, but there was something about Silo that you didn't want to stop. It's right up there with the thing about Pam. If you've ever seen that done by Dateline, they actually did a show with Renee Zellweger, and I think it's 4 episodes. It's longer than that because I stayed up. I binged the whole thing, and I didn't get to bed till 1 a.m. So meeting was late the next day. But it's that bingeable. This, however, you can fast forward the first 30 minutes, or if you need some good company while you're working, because I do tend to sometimes when I want to get out of my office, because that's something Robert and I talked about. Sometimes we have to get out of our office to work. I do have a laptop and I work from my living room, and I will put on a movie or something. And this is something you easily could read a book, play on your phone, and still know what the movie is all about. Even if you walked out and went to the grocery store and came back in 30 minutes, maybe 45, you'd still know the whole plot of the movie.
Especially if it was the first 45 minutes you missed.
Exactly. Make sure it's the first 45 minutes and you're good. So do I respect the history behind it and everything that was it? Like I said, after this, go and read about the actress. You'll know why this is another reason why it's a big movie. But other than that, you guys couldn't there's not enough alcohol to get me to watch this again at all. Even if I really was into a guy, this would have to be a deal breaker. And I'd be like, how about this? How about I just come pick you up, or I walk in 45 minutes late? This is not, yeah.
I can tell you something, Nikki. If you watch this with a guy that you like, you're probably not gonna be watching it for the first 45 minutes.
No, I would hope that if a guy was on a date with me and it was this bad of a movie in 45 minutes, we wouldn't be sitting there twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really hope so.
What you're supposed to do is put this movie on when you're horny, get it over and done with in 45 minutes, and then watch the rest of the movie. That's how it's supposed to be used.
And that's if you only want it to last 45 minutes. But here's the thing that goes actually back to the question, would this set the mood? Because we're watching it with 2024 eyes versus 1980 eyes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be messed up if you're like right down in the action, getting tense, and then one of you just left out a chuckle. And it kind of breaks the mood. It would be horrible too.
Laughter can lead to great sex too, though. So, yeah. So this is something will not. If you ever find part 2, I'm going to refer you to a friend, because I'll be washing my hair and painting my nails that night. And I love you guys, you know I do. But no, but for the time, I can see and I appreciate the parody of it. I do.
Nice.
Awesome.
There's a reason why the only one who charges for this is Prime Video, and they only charge $3.45.
I have so many digital credits. I almost did it, and then I remember Robert sent me a link. So I was painfully watching on my TV on YouTube, and like every 15 minutes is a commercial. I'm like, wow, the commercials are actually more entertaining than the movie. So so then I remembered I have like this big 48-inch, or no, it's bigger than that, 52, I think, widescreen gaming monitor. I came in here and I started watching it on YouTube where I have ad block going. So I was able to watch it for free without ads.
Nice. Nice.
Oops.
Awesome.
What about you, Robert?
Well, first, I'd like to apologize because this was my. It is very nostalgic film to me,
His
and
fault.
Someone wanted to relive their childhood.
very,
Going
very.
my first direction.
And watching it after the fact, you know, I find it. To me,
11-year-old.
oh,
11-year-old. First direction.
oh, yeah, if you're not subscribed to YouTube, you don't know what you're missing. The film, I enjoyed it, but let me tell you why, and I enjoyed it. I actually like Beavis and Butthead, and this is kind of like the same, the same avenue that I could put this film to be in. It's a very I don't know. I want to say stupid, funny film that I never realized it was when I watched it for the first time.
Because you were too horny as an 11-year-old.
The story of my first direction.
So
I am Cornholio. Give me toilet paper. I
TP.
need TP for my bunghole.
So you know, knowing that, then you could probably understand why I enjoy the kind of comedic lines that were in this film. But it's mostly nostalgia to me, and I'm kind of wondering if anybody out there who's listening to the show has seen this back when, if you are having the same feelings as I do with this film, where you're not necessarily having the same experiences because we're all different, but um, if your opinions about these films um, is differs from anybody else in this panel talking about the film. I do understand the film is very slow to pick up, very slow. And it's um, I'm trying to think if it's just mostly nostalgic. And I usually have Ray to rely on here because we're kind of around the same age, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think I'm a year older than you.
yeah, so we're around there. So
Same vintage.
I think mostly is nostalgia, if I'm not mistaken. But after the fact, and the reason why I enjoy this is because I get chuckles with this film, and that's basically my last thought of it. So if you are from that era, I like to know if it's, you know, because I mean it is very well known that it could be just me. I mean, you know, right?
Could be. Well, you see, I don't have the advantage of having seen it when I was younger, so I don't have that nostalgia click. Although, as a piece of cinema, it is nostalgic in that it really does showcase the let's get on the Star Wars train and try and make a bit of money off them. Oh, crap, it didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we haven't covered it yet, but I really want to cover Battle Beyond the Stars because that was a Star Wars ripoff, riding the gravy train, which was actually leagues better than this movie because it actually held your attention in the first 45 minutes. But yeah, you could tell from the get-go that they were copying things off other movies wholesale. They used 2001: A Space Odyssey docking music for that hover thing going down the corridor, which had no point whatsoever except to fill up time. Like the captain standing on there posing for like a minute and a half as it moved down the corridor really slowly to the 2001.
And it's
It
almost
was funny for the first 20 seconds, but then it just dragged. So yeah, they were filling time because they needed a movie that ran for an hour and a half, and they did not have the footage. So they just filled it up with whatever they could find. And the unfortunate thing was they shoved it into the first 45 minutes, which is the part of the movie where you're being introduced to the characters and the plot, and it needs to have something to hook the watcher. And I think there wasn't much hooking going on. I think like they dangled a string, and that's all we got. There wasn't even a hook for the first 45 minutes. I was sitting there sort of getting a bit bored and looking away and Googling things and stuff, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it, you know, they dropped a few nuggets of useful information that linked into the plot, like Galaxina is a robot which supports the ship. She can do the piloting while everybody's in hypersleep and so forth and so on. But she can't talk, and she'll zap your ass if you touch her. But we made her really sexy, and you're out here for years. You've been out here for 7 years without, sexual partners. And we made a super sexy robot which will zap you if you touch her. I mean, I hate their fucking management. Like, it's as bad a management as I've ever seen. Bloody hell! Look, if you're going to put a sick,
this is the kind of stuff that people that are into edging like
for 7 years.
You wouldn't believe, bro.
7 years, no, that's
7 years of edging.
That's like super ultimate awesome edging. That's just like, good God.
Yeah.
Pass. No, look. If you want them to be sane in that 7-year period, they should have just, ponied up the extra money and put a vagina on her and turned off the electrocution thing, and then everybody would have been happy.
Or at least let them pack some remote-controlled sleeves.
At least.
I
mean, this is the future, so they must have those.
And lube.
Yes, and lots of lube. Yes, you've got to always have lube. Yeah. Just don't ask me to clean it off because I'm sick of doing that. Anyway,
Can you send me a couple of bottles? Can you send me a couple of bottles?
I
actually do. I've had a lube company reach out to me for the travels I'm ready to go on and go, look, we'd like to have you sponsor us. We'll send you the travel size lube. And I'm thinking, well, I can only take 1 3-ounce bottle on the plane, so we're gonna have to ship it there.
What? Because lube is explosive?
No, but you can only take 3 ounces on the plane. So even if I check it, it's one more thing I'd have to carry. And if I'm going to a 4-day event, I'm going to have 400 bags. That's a lot of 3-ounce bottles of lube. Lots.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, the other week for a midwife SLE that I was looking after, they had 6 different vagina models with babies and things, and the amount of lube they used, it took me 2.5 hours to clean it all off. Oh my God.
Wow, that's a lot.
and guess what? I was using baby wipes.
That's the best way to clean it, actually.
That's because they work really well. Since we had a kid, like, baby wipes are like sliced bread. It's like, how did I live without these things?
Yeah.
And you don't know till you have a baby and you buy baby wipes for the first time. It's like, oh. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So
when I had my daughters, that wasn't a thing. So I can appreciate it now when I see it. It's like, I wish I would have had it when my...
Oh, totally.
It would have made such a difference.
We have 2 cats, cat vomit, cat spew, whatever, all the stuff, baby wipes. Great.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, when I was born, they didn't have diapers. We used to use the fabric ones.
Oh, the towels.
I mean, as a baby, that's what I used to use.
Wow. So Gio, I don't know. Did we hear Ray your last thoughts?
No, I was getting to it, but I got derailed.
Okay. Yeah.
So you will find a lot to to like a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. You'll see it's one of the reasons to watch it is just to see how many different movies you can spot that they've ripped off, and there's a lot. Obviously, Star Wars, Star Trek, Aliens, and I saw other little bits and bobs here and there, but I won't mention what they are, so you can go and watch them and find them. But yeah, I mean, the first 45 minutes you've just got to labor through, be distracted for a little bit. And you know, marvel at the ability of management to really screw with the crew's heads by putting a sexy robot on the ship, which doesn't have the vagina because it was too expensive, and electrocutes them when they touch it, and it can't talk, but it's got emotions, and it's like torture all around, basically. But they get over that about 27 years through the movie, and then it starts to get good, and I think the balance starts to work a lot better in the second half of the movie, even to the point where the stairs that she goes up to go to the second floor of the restaurant, which is serving human food, she has to climb down backwards because it's so steep, which cracked me up.
What was
it was the Blue Star. Thanks. So get one of those in, the last one in. But yeah, it has its moments. Unfortunately, they're a little few and far between. But yeah, I laughed out loud a few times. And yeah, the first 45 minutes is a bit of a slog. But I think it is worth watching, especially if you've seen Barbarella, because it's in that same sort of vein, but the mix isn't quite as tasty. It's like making a cocktail. You've got to get the mix right. And this one didn't quite turn out as well as Barbarella did, but it's still in the same vein. And I do think it does have some points that make it worth one watch. I wouldn't necessarily go in for a second one, but I give it one watch just to, you know, if you're a real sci-fi fan, you need to experience this just to catch what not to do, maybe.
Club.
What? Yeah, find out what not to do when you're making a movie. And that's my final thought.
Awesome. We're down to Captain Chaos.
What can I say, man, that you guys haven't said? Well, this was for some reason the first time that I watched this movie. It was interesting.
Was it the last?
Probably. But yes, I definitely think that is on the side of Barbarella. I think that the movie could have done a bit more with the plot, or at least working to the characters. Like you already mentioned, like there's a lot of questions about her functionalities, you know.
Yeah.
And her character development, they made it a thing of the plot, the main thing. So I would have ventured to say they could have invested more on screen time and dialogue with her. But I think it was funny. It gives me it got a laugh out of me. And I think that it's a one-time thing if you're a hardcore sci-fi comedy fan. One thing that you guys mentioned, and I can attest for it with myself, is not every genre is for everybody. You know, sure. I realize this myself with comedy and horror. Like, I will watch a horror when it has sci-fi on it for sure, but like just horror for horror, like it doesn't swing. Comedy, the same thing. I would like I don't know the comedies of today now in era because I stopped watching comedy. It has to be brainy for me. And just the same way, I know people that they don't like sci-fi, you know, like they feel like, oh, I don't understand that, you know, and they don't want to think about it. And that's totally fine. So this is a niche taste movie, and a cult following movie. I will say too, just like Barbarella and Flash Gordon. I will venture to say so. It's one of those movies that some people love it and others just not gonna like it, but there's no in between with it.
Yes. You either hate it or love it. There's no in between.
Yep. Barbarella was the same thing. Barbarella was the same thing. It was a hate it or love it. And I think that Flash Gordon too, when they're a success, you know. and when they're not
Barbarella.
when you watch.
I would watch Barbarella again before this, so that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was more plot into it. You
Mhm.
know, like what's the point of watching something that doesn't keep you engaged on it? You know, so I totally get it. I totally get it. I will watch Barbarella again too. Jane Fonda in her glory days. Hell yes. Uh, Ray and I actually we've been trying to record one that is gonna be the third time that we're gonna try probably. Called Life Force. I don't know if you've watched it. They're like space vampires, but the main character is an alien girl. She doesn't talk almost in the whole movie. She has like two sentences, maybe. Right? In the
Well,
whole movie.
she doesn't talk much for the first half of the movie. She does some more talking later on.
But she's naked, butt naked, walking everywhere, and the screen time of her titties. Oh my god!
Worth the price of admission.
Definitely, man.
I think that movie is cursed. If you guys are following us on YouTube, I've seen a couple of posts where we have let you know that we have tried to record this episode on this film a couple of times. One, we lost the recording. The other one, we had technical difficulties. So yes, it is cursed.
Oh, there was another time where somebody was sick and couldn't make it. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Third time is a charmer.
Yeah.
So I mean, you hear a lot about people wanting reboots and remakes. I think this would
This is not one of them.
well. Here's the thing. I think they should actually grab this and remake it and fix it.
Should they
If they
quantify
remake-
it?
If they remake it, they need to put in what they were going to put in the first 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and maybe it would be something. But
Definitely.
But she gave it that certain type of feel. I mean, I have to say that, I watched it because of her, not because of anybody else. So you would have to find someone that had just that mystique about it too, to play her, because I think you're always going to think of Dorothy Stratton in this
Yes,
spot.
definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
And that's pretty much what I talked about it initially when I said about replicating the chemistry. So I always wondered, because there's a lot of missing pieces in this film, and you wonder if they find the right casting for this film, can they make something that 'cause I think the plot has potential. If it's done, I mean, it has a potential to even make it a TV show. If they kind of work it, if they have time, if they have the budget, which is I think this film, looking at it after the fact, is lacking.
I think I read an article the other day that was saying that they wanted to, but they kind of like The Crow. It took them years and years and years to do something with it after.
Mhm.
Same kind of thing. They kind of perceive it as a cursed film.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that is all our final thoughts. I wonder, are we ready to move on to the last segment?
We should
Yeah, let's kick it.
be. The science.
The science in sci-fi.
Show me the science here, Ray, please. Point me to the
Oh
right
God,
direction.
asking the hard questions now, aren't we?
I can definitely say there's the mechanics. I don't know if it's science, but I can say that mechanically had a starter engine problems for sure.
It did, definitely.
Before getting out of the asteroid.
That was deliberate.
We see the future of Boston Robotics here.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm waiting
Very
for it.
shapely.
Well, you also that's the thing. You got Boston Dynamics, Atlas, but you have this other part of it that is another company. It's called X Robots. It's a Chinese company.
Mhm.
They're not fully functional, moving their bodies independently like Atlas, but you can definitely see that from here up they're completely human now, and they're working on mimicking emotions and everything else. So when you put both things together, I think that we're right there already. I think that we're not 10 years away from humanoids AI.
You had to bridge it. I think you had to bridge it together with something like the latest product from OpenAI, ChatGPT
Yeah.
4o, because that would be. We're talking about something scary. That would be scary. Even if you
Mhm.
have the head, from Boston Robotics, and the mechanism and the I guess um the programming for ChatGPT 4o, that would actually replicate what we see here, I think.
But you were saying, Ray.
No, that's fine. I mean, you guys didn't note anything down in the show notes that you had anything to talk about, so I was expecting to monologue here, so I'm glad I didn't have to. But I mean, this film did some things interestingly right, but it got a lot of other things sadly wrong as well. I mean, her name Galaxina, it comes from the word galaxy, which is, like the entirety of the Milky Way, right? That's a galaxy. Okay. Now they're talking about intergalactic this and so forth and so on, and yet they've got a ship that takes 27 years to get from Earth to Altair, which is a piddling distance compared to the whole size of the galaxy, let alone intergalactic space. So basically, even communicating across that amount of space, unless you've got something that can move faster than the speed of light, you're screwed. So yeah, really, the logic behind them having an intergalactic police force that take 27 years to get between stars that are like 4.5 light years apart. So they're obviously not even going at 0.5 C. So
Yeah, I put my money on the
ridiculous.
wormholes. I put my money on the wormholes.
Really, they should have mothballed that ship the moment hyperdrive was invented, or retrofitted it, one or the other, because there's no way they should have. It was a joke, but they shouldn't have been driving around at that speed. And the commander said you were the closest. Who gives a shit if you're the closest? They're the slowest. Somebody could have gone from the other side of the galaxy using hyperdrive and got there before them.
Yep, pretty much.
Idiot. Anyway, this is another one of those. The management is a pack of dickheads. So their statements about galaxy spanning police force and intergalactic police force and all this sort of stuff, they were getting their terminology wrong, and they really should have spoken to an astrophysicist just to straighten that out a little bit. But in 1980, it was probably just Carl Sagan and nobody else who could actually understand that stuff. So I don't know that at the time they would have understood the mistakes they were making, but they should have had a chat with Carl. He would have set them straight. But anyway, so they got that wrong. But interestingly enough, the prison planet of Altair 1, you would have noticed that it was exceedingly bright, and that there was red foliage on the trees. And I thought, that's interesting. I wonder if they did their research. So I went and had a look. And I was looking at plant foliage colors on different planets under different colored stars. And I found Google. I was asking Google.
Do you think that they did their homework, or it was just pure coincidence?
Well, maybe they think, oh, red will look different. But
I think it was pure coincidence.
Around hotter and bluer stars than our sun, plants would tend to absorb blue light and could look green to yellow to red. So it is possible that Altair, being a blue-white star, you could end up with red foliage based on the light, the main light produced by the star, that the chlorophyll would be absorbing, because chlorophyll absorbs all the other colors and reflects green. That is why plants are green, because they're reflecting the green light. They're not absorbing it. So in a blue-white star, the chlorophyll would be absorbing the green light and the other colors and reflecting red, so the leaves would look red. So that's basically how it works. They use everything but the color that they look, because that's the color they're not using and reflecting it. So that's how that works. But
you think
it's
you think
interesting.
that's how that works, or it's autumn and that's it? So that's
No. Autumn's a completely different thing. That's got to do with senescence and the reabsorption of the chlorophyll. So once you pull the chlorophyll out of the leaf, then the colors that are left are supporting pigments that are less easy to shift. So that's why the leaves are yellow and red before they turn brown when they completely senesce. Senescence means programmed cell death. So they're designed to lose their leaves. The leaves are designed to die, and they pull everything out of the leaf that they can. So the chlorophyll is able to be drawn back out of the leaf into the plant, but the supporting pigments, the yellow and red ones, are more strongly bound into the matrix of the leaf, and they can't be pulled out, so they stay there, and that's why you get autumn colors.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from the biologist, so that's my understanding of it. So I thought that was interesting that they kind of probably got that right in that you could have red foliage colors. Now, talking about how the scenes outside on Altair 1 were overexposed, so everything was very bright. Altair is a blue-white star, and it is about 10.7 times more visually luminous than our sun. So 10 times brighter. So Altair 1, if it was roughly the same distance from the Altair star as Earth is, so that you got Goldilocks zone with water in its three states to support life, then you'd be looking at a very bright environment, which it was. So they got that right.
I wonder if it was by mistake. Actually,
could have been. Who knows? But I just thought it was interesting that because I thought, oh, look up Altair and see what NASA said about it.
So was Altair like the star was Altair a blue star?
Yes. blue white. So it's sort of a bit bluish, but very white. Whereas our star is sort of a yellow white star, dependent on what atmosphere you're seeing it through.
That's really, really interesting. It makes me wonder now if sometimes the writers of any IP would actually consult to see how true are they to the actual facts scientifically. It just makes me wonder if they did or not on this one.
Well, you've got to remember this was 44 years ago, and we know a shit ton more about our local star systems than we used to, like whether there's planets or not and all that sort of thing. And it's not a case of, you can just go and have a look. It's very difficult to work these things out. But with the Hubble Space Telescope, and there's another new one that's coming up that's even better, very short. I can't remember the name of it, but they've gone a long way. Sorry?
James Webb.
James Webb. Yeah, it's James Webb. Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. But there's a lot of work that's going on from Earth's orbit to discover what's going on around other stars nearby, and it's amazing what they're able to do now. It's got to do with the planet transiting between us and the star, and they can even look into what sort of chemicals are in the atmospheres of these planets by what happens to the light as it passes through the atmosphere and then comes all the way over to us. So it's pretty bloody amazing what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Without even leaving the solar system. But it's amazing what we know now that we didn't know back in 1980, and it just sort of tickled my scientific brain that they kind of got this kind of right, really, in a way. So
yeah, and considering the way the ships would travel through space, it's Yeah, it's incredible.
Like a wobbly sausage.
Oh,
Ribbed for her pleasure.
it's glad I remember.
Did you guys have any more science? Because I was really struggling with this one. That's the best I could come up with.
Yeah, me too.
No.
I mean, the idea of Boston Robotics and OpenAI just came in after. But yeah, this is one of those films, and we had many of those in the past, where um, it's basically a struggle trying to find the science because of the nature of the film. It wasn't intended to be
Yeah.
that. So
Mhm.
cool.
Now, but
Well,
before we go, though, what were you saying, Ray?
no, you go. Sorry.
No, I was saying that before we go, I wanted Nikki, anyways, to let our audience know where they can find your show.
And the book and everything you got going on.
Yeah, you can find Dear Nikki's sex confessions from people just like you out on Amazon right now. You can find me not on YouTube. I'm not on. They don't allow me on YouTube. But you can find me the same places you listen to these guys on, wherever you listen to these guys, Spotify, Apple, anywhere.
I started listening to you in Apple, but I went all full on Spotify, so I listen to you on Spotify now.
Well, as long
There's
as you listen, but thank you.
There's a YouTube alternative called Odyssey. You might check them out and see if they'd allow your content.
Yeah, I got pulled from YouTube because someone thought I was stimulating content. I have no idea why.
Well,
But you know, the funny thing was, I was reading a grocery list.
Wow.
Well, anything can be
Oh
stimulating
my
if you read
God.
it the right way.
Exactly. So yeah. So I'm out on YouTube, but I'll have to write that down. Odyssey. Thank you.
Well, if
No
you want, what's really, they call it the YouTube killer. It's more uncensored. It's called Rumble. You can check it out if you want. And they will not demonetize you.
You can also. I've hired a. It's not. Since mine's more audio than visual, or is only audio.
Mhm.
They are actually popping up on some of the porn tube sites because they're hosting adult content. So you can find my podcast over there as well. It's dumping slowly, but I do have someone scheduling them out. So if you want to listen to the whole catalog, I suggest Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else. But if you're already a person that likes to go to those places, which there's nothing wrong with that, you can just look up Dear Nikky. It's like you're writing a letter, DEAR, and then NIKKY, of course.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Nikki. We really appreciate you. And you know that we want you back. We
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely. Just you know how to reach me.
The
Robert.
rule is that from now on, she picks the movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Robert, no more picking the movies.
No more
Nikki's
picking. I am prohibited.
You are. You've been vetoed.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Well, just like to remind everybody about the Discord channel. That's where you can catch us when you're not listening to us here or here, which is obviously YouTube or where you get your favorite podcasts. And our Discord channel. Feel free on there to reach out to us and let us know if you would like us to cover something that we haven't gone through yet, or if you'd like to discuss further this movie or any of the others in our back catalogue. Please jump on there and chat with us. Being that our time zones are quite different, you might be able to catch one of us at any given time of the day or night. Me overnight and these guys during the Western American daytime. We also have a couple of websites. The first one is sciencefictionremnant.com. As you'd expect, it's all one word. And there you can find our currently released episodes of the podcast. And you can also find references to articles that have been written to do with science and science fiction. So check those out. Some of them are very interesting. We also have another website called thisisscifi.net. It's in its early stages, but the idea of that is a platform to bring together differing silos of science fiction fans who have in the past been separated into their own IPs, but we're hoping to get them interacting and discovering each other's loves. And of course, it's so much easier when you're told about something by somebody who loves it. They will get you excited about it, and then you can kick off into that and find out more. Because it's always a pain when your favorite IP, you get to the end of the content and there's nothing else to watch, and you've got to wait for something else maybe for years before it comes out. So while you're waiting, check out something new, because there's always something exciting out there in sci-fi to check out. We also have Patreon if you're at all interested. It's not free to produce this podcast, so it would be great if you're willing to join the Patreon. It's a small monthly payment, and you will get extra info, stuff happening behind the scenes, and options to look at various artworks and purchase artworks that Geo puts together from time to time with his hobby of being an artist. If a monthly subscription to Patreon is a bit too much for you, there is the option of the one-off Buy Me a Coffee. Geo's been having lots of trouble with microphones recently. Oh my God, the number of times we've had problems with the microphones. But he would really like a new microphone. So if you wanted to put some money into that Buy Me a Coffee, rather than caffeinating himself, you might be able to hear him a bit better. So consider supporting us with the Buy Me a Coffee, and that money will go to help funding a new microphone for Geo, and hopefully that way we won't have so many problems recording. Don't forget our hotline. We left a message this week, and that was
promotion
fantastic.
was up my expense, Ray.
It sure was. We had a wonderful message this week. Anybody else who'd like to leave us a message, the number is 1-305-563-6334. That's 1-305-563-6334. We'd love to have Nikki on there answering your calls, but she's quite busy with her own stuff. So you'll just have to leave us a message. But we will play it as we did today.
Or I can answer it if you want.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to leave some hate mail for Geo, he'd love that, because he's a bit of an M. But thank you for joining us. Check out our back catalog so you can enjoy the other IPs we've covered in the past. Reach out to us on Discord, and we look forward to seeing you on our future episodes. And thank you very much for joining us here. And that's it for today, and we will catch you next time round. So bye for now.